It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Thursday, June 27th. Good morning. The Who going mobile right there on today of all days, the day of John Entwistle's passing back in 2002.
Peacefully in his sleep, I bet.
Well, in a bed in Las Vegas, high on cocaine with a prostitute.
Oh,
which
good
for
times.
John Entwistle did register as peacefully in his sleep.
Yeah, I mean, if that'd be one of my top 5 ways to go, I think.
He ran out the clock. He was swinging when the final bell rang. He never slowed down a bit.
I love it. Smoked it to the butt.
Yeah, he was in his mid-50s, and if you look at photos of him in those last few years, you think, whoa, wow, Johnny, buddy, going for it. John Entwistle, of course, in addition to being a virtuoso of a bassist, I mean, just a non-stop monster bassist, also wrote a few Who songs, none of the big hits, but like, say, Boris the Spider. That was one of his one of his classics. Boris the Spider. Boris the Spider's been on a lot of people's minds this week. I don't know if everybody's hip to the story of a Hennepin County board candidate, a woman named Marissa Simonetti, who's just a firecracker, would be what my mom would describe her as back in the day. Or in there's another thing people would describe her as. Oh, she's intriguing, because you don't want to say, I think she's bad crap crazy.
Or smoking hot would be another way to describe her.
They go in hand a lot of times.
They sure do.
She is a candidate for the Hennepin County Board, and she was arrested over the weekend, spent a couple days in the joint, charged with assault after throwing a tarantula towards another person. That was basically the gist of the assault. Long story short, she has an Airbnb situation going on, and a woman rented a room from her, and then, according to Simonetti, wouldn't leave. Yeah. So Simonetti accused her of being a squatter, and they had a bit of an argument, and then she apparently had a tarantula in a little, like, Tupperware thing, and she flung it towards the quote-unquote squatter. Real estate records, because journalists are looking into this. She's renting a room in a home she doesn't own to begin with.
All right.
So it could
illegal?
Be probably. Could be.
I mean, can't sublet.
Maybe not. We don't know. We the idea that short-term rentals for this is down in Edina, and short-term rentals are not allowed to happen there anyway. So she's running afoul of all sorts of things. But she's embraced it. She now calls herself the Tarantula Tosser on social media.
That's not a good nickname.
She's having a debate watch party tonight, and she suggests that maybe a mixologist could whip up a drink and call it the Tarantula Tosser. Basically, this is just the latest person who's gotten a little bit of notoriety and just thinks all press is good press. Pay attention to me, and I'll be on the Hennepin County Board this year.
That's how it works. Tarantula Tart, maybe. I like that better.
Could be the Tarantula Tart. She'll probably run. She'll run that right up the flagpole. Hennepin County Board.
Oh well, what do they do on that thing? Not much.
They meet. They have meetings. I guess I'm not quite sure. The video's not really all that exciting. It's not like you don't see a spider, flying across the room like reaching out to wreak havoc. It's just she just dumps some stuff down the stairs.
Yeah, I'm a little behind on the story. I don't know. Was it her tarantula?
See, that's the thing. I don't know. I don't. Who just walks around with tarantulas? And what if she sets them loose at a county board meeting?
Tony Reed, a buddy of mine, lived with him, lost his tarantula in our apartment for a couple of weeks. I've told that story before, but they're weirdos, oddballs. Yeah, the kind of people that have snakes and tarantulas and iguanas. For pets.
I just saw one. I saw one of her tweets, and she's sitting in a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, and then she's getting on a private plane, or at least standing near one. It's one of those videos someone makes where they get close to really high-end items, and they hope you assume that that's their life.
I see. An influencer. I
don't think that's exactly the case. I don't know what her. I don't know anything about this woman other than the tarantula story. There is a story about her in the New York Post, so she's accomplished at least that. I mean, this story has gone beyond the local feature.
Yeah, whip a tarantula. By the way, they just can't. They seem like a wiffle ball, like they would just, a current would catch it. It'd be hard to hit anyone with a tarantula. You'd kind of have to.
I would think so.
Figure in, bounce, or, I don't know.
But
what was the tarantula thinking? Hey.
If this tarantula thing stays on her record, she might very well no longer be welcome at the Mall of America. The Mall of America has announced its security system is now equipped with facial recognition recognition technology that will be used to detect anyone mall staff identify as a, quote, person of interest.
Well, I consider myself interesting. Would they be looking for me, perhaps?
Sure. I mean, I've got a story or two. I think we all have our interesting moments.
What I would be worried is that perhaps, what if it leaked out and my friends found out that I was at the Mall of America?
Well, you see, that's the thing.
Embarrassing.
This can be very, very damaging to people's social status. There are cities, Boston, San Francisco among them, that have banned use of this technology anywhere.
Yeah. Philip K. Dick.
This is
one of his things right there. Yeah.
Absolutely, it is. The mall is saying, look, we have photos of people of interest. They've already been uploaded into the facial recognition system. That's programmed to only look for matches to these photos. What they're saying is, we're not taking your picture and entering it into a database, like just to keep it on file in case you become a person of interest later. What they're saying is, we're not cataloging everybody who comes in. We already have people we're on the lookout for, and all this technology is doing is looking for matches against specific faces they're already on the hunt for.
People who are banned already.
Well, yeah, that's what they put in the light rail, so the gangbangers, have a direct line out there. And they've had problems out there, shootings at the Mall of America in the last 20 years or whatever. There's been crime. That's why they established their own police precinct right there in the Mall of America. So they're trying to get out in front of it, I guess.
Well, I wonder. I guess that could be certainly a part of it. And they do say that malls and airports, like places where there are a lot of people, are where a lot of trafficking goes down. There's a lot of
human trafficking. Yeah, I would think that'd be a ripe place for obviously for human traffickers.
Yeah, and so I understand the thinking behind this. The problem with this isn't the technology; it's the people sitting at the keyboard who get a little over their skis and start thinking, "Well, what's the problem if I just do a little bit of and hit some keys?"
What if my ex is here?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like the human element is what always screws these things up. It's it's a tool. It's a tool or it's a weapon, depending on who's sitting at that computer at any given time.
It's a little uneasy, to be honest with you.
But if you've ever been banned from the Mall of America, if you've ever had an incident there, look out. They're looking for you probably to make sure that guy doesn't come back in and rides the Paul Bunyan thing anymore.
The flume.
Look out for the flume, baby. Liquid Death. I'd seen that product for a couple years. Never once did I assume it was water.
Yeah, same. Such a cool.
I would have never thought there's just water in a can that says Liquid Death.
This is just all in on marketing. They just sat around and went, let's take the dullest substance on the planet, water.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to sell water. People are already buying it en masse. Frustrates my dad. I get it. It's a generational thing. And let's market the hell out of it so people just want this water so bad.
Make it badass.
They're winning.
Well, they're winning, and they're about to win some more because now they've placed a call to Walking Death himself. I'll explain. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talkin' text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show, Thursday, June the 27th at 7:50. Oh, it's game time. TV or not TV? That is the question. We will guessing if we're talking about something from the 1980s is real or made up. TV or not TV? We're giving away tickets to the Rockin' the 80s boat cruise in late July along with KQ. That's going to be fun. 7:50. Just bookmark that bad boy and get involved. Liquid Death. I mentioned it before the break. Liquid Death. I saw it for literally years and never had any idea it was just water.
Yeah.
When I just see the name of it and I'm like, oh, that's the new. My first thought was it's an energy drink.
Yeah, right.
Like, and then I thought, oh no, it's like a mixed. It's just a clearly hooch of some sort. Grain alcohol and add the flavor. But no, Liquid Death is just water. And now Liquid Death has a new product called Death Dust, which is a bunch of flavored powders that you add to your drink.
They've been around for a long time.
Just straight up water is run its course. Now you need to add a flavored powder. So they want you to buy the dust and then buy the water and then mix them, as opposed to it's like buying peanuts and then plain M&Ms. It's like just give me the peanut M&M. Well, why do I have to do the work?
No, you're absolutely right. I know these things have been around for a while. People buying their little. It's that reminds me of the old. Was it not the pixie sticks? Just the sugar sticks we used to get when we were a kid. Just pure sugar powder, but you dump it in your water. Now you have flavored water.
I guess. Well, you're sugaring yourself, but you're also staying hydrated.
Yeah. Liquid Death. This is 100% marketing. They just said,
of course.
grab something. What's simple? Chalk? No. What else have you got? Water? Yeah, water. And they've just gone all in on marketing for this thing, and people just have to have it, I guess.
Well, they were thinking about this new line of death dust products, and they thought, well, we've got to get the perfect spokesman. And at some point, somebody said, well, who would best represent walking death? And that was, of course, Oswald, as I call him, Osborne. Ozzy Osbourne in the new Liquid Death ad. Take a listen to this.
Hey, no way. Ozzy Osbourne.
Death dust. Take it from me. Don't snort that stuff.
We weren't planning on snorting it.
Yeah, we're going to mix it with water and hydrate.
It's got electrolytes, which your body needs.
Yeah, it's delicious.
Whatever you do, don't try freebasing it.
Free what?
And never, ever inject it.
And how would we even...
And don't even think about boofing it, you little perverts.
Boof?
You know, where you stick it up your
Yeah, boofing.
Pretty liberal edit there, too.
Yeah, don't freebase it, don't inject it, and don't boof it.
No boofing allowed.
Man, no boofing, baby. No boofing on the dance floor.
Not to be confused with butt chugging. I think they're the same thing, aren't they? Butt chugging and boofing?
It's the first time I've crossed the word boofing, to be honest.
Yeah, what happened to butt chugging?
I don't know. Is that
a lost art?
Yeah. No, there was that the Pi Kappa Alpha fraternity back in the day. I forget when it was, like mid 2000s or whatever, around 2010. They were busted. They were hazing their pledges by requiring them to stick the beer bong up the six there and butt chug the.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the first time that he had ever heard of the two words butt chugging, which have now become two famous words across the United States and across the world.
Yeah, just shortened it to boofing.
And across the word. A barenema, I believe is what you would call that. I don't know if they're doing any butt chugging out in L.A., but Drew Carey, comedian and, of course, long time now. It's weird to say that, but he has long now been the host of The Price is Right. He's been talking about the fact, he gave a recent interview with TV Insider, talking about what sort of things the contestants on Price is Right are up to before you hear their name called and then told to come on down.
Yeah.
And basically, they might be boofing, but they're doing something. He says they're drunk and high all the time.
All right.
I met one person. I had a conversation with somebody who had been a contestant on The Price is Right. And she was in college, and she said she and a group of her friends were all out there, and they walked in together, and they were all wearing sweatshirts from the school they went to, like a group, thinking, oh, well, this will get attention. And the producer, this woman was like 5 feet tall. She was very small. And so the producer he goes, basically said, you'll look different, you'll stick out because you're so much shorter than the average person up here, and then just wanted to make sure she would be animated herself, and but just kind of grilled her on, do you do any voices, impressions, can you fake an accent? And she's like, what? No. What? Yeah. Okay, just wondering, just don't feel, just get up there and let her rip. They're just looking for good TV.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been out in that area, and they're like, oh yeah, they tape Price is Right there, and I'm like, right there?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and you can walk up just about any day and get in. I don't think anymore there's a real long waiting list. By the way, here's a little bit of the skateboard rabbi high on shrooms on The Price is Right.
1,500, Drew.
1,500, Joshua. $1, Drew. $1. That's your retail price. $7.30, Joshua. Going up. Big Papa. Joshua, I can't wait to hear. What do you do for a living?
I'm a skateboard rabbi.
You know what? I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'm just looking for a good ramp. Something with a nice incline.
We've got to repave these ramps.
That's been going on for you. I bet back in Bob's day, people were, swilling the martinis and heading over to the Price is Right.
The Manischewitz.
I guess they couldn't really air it if somebody got up there and was knocking stuff over, or if someone threw up on Drew, they would just stop the taping. It would be pretty great if they.
They had that lady that peed her pants a little bit up there one time and had to stop the taping, and just a little pee spot.
I saw that. I was backstage at the Price is Right once. I was speaking of Ozzy Osbourne. I was appearing on the Sharon Osbourne talk show, which she had for a while.
Yeah,
with Stereophonics, Welsh band I was playing with, and they were going to go play a song on the show, so I was there for it, and it was at the same CBS television center where they typed The Price is Right.
Yeah,
and I was walking down a hallway, and they have all these road cases and props, and different parts of The Price is Right set are just in a giant hallway behind the set. And there was the wheel, the showcase wheel, just out. And I made a beeline for it because, of course, I'm going to go spin that sucker.
Yeah.
And a security guard came out of nowhere, and he was like, "Do not touch that wheel." And I mean, he was, I guarantee you, his hand was reaching for the taser. I said, "Come on, man, let me touch the wheel." And he looked at me. He was dead serious. He goes, "Do not touch the wheel."
Wow.
And I go, you aren't going to let me spin the wheel? And he was like, "Absolutely not." I go, "What do you think, I'm going to break it?" He goes, "It might." I go, "What?" And I said, "You don't have a backup?" And he looked at me and goes, "What? No, there's only one wheel." And I was like, "Man, TV's cheap."
Yeah.
Man, you guys are cutting corners.
Yeah.
This show's been on since 1836, and you don't have a backup wheel?
Backup frickin' wheel.
I was that close. Haunts me to this day. All right, speaking of Hollywood and TV, Mike Evans' Hollywood Report.
Hey, good morning, Steve. Good morning, Zap. Tony, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Thursday. By the way, we have an early movie review that opens today at Marcus Theaters. I'll be telling you more about it, but just remember, Marcus Theater is the only place to see any movie, and all movies at Marcus Theater on Tuesday, only $6. Marcus Theater's the best. We start off with an update. You might remember that back on June 11th, I said that I had learned that the FBI, the DEA, and the LAPD were pooling their investigation of Matthew Perry's death as to who supplied him with that expensive drug, ketamine, that killed him. Well, now I can tell you that they have pulled together all their information, and arrests are about to be made very, very soon. Stay tuned. Speaking of Matthew Perry, a Matthew Perry sidebar, of all the Friends cast, Lisa Kudrow and Matthew Perry were probably the closest friends. And Lisa now admits since Matthew's death, she's been binging all the Friends reruns. Yeah, make no mistake about it. Despite being a loner, Matthew Perry was the nicest friend of Friends. Little show business. For decades, Disney was considered the all-American, the all-caring, the fair company of Hollywood. However, since Walt and Roy Disney's death, the company has become a ruthless juggernaut. They fight paying their employees minimum wage. They spy on their park employees like Gestapo, while ticket prices have exploded for everybody in the country and around the world. Well, now Congress is looking into an antitrust case against Disney since they now own Disney Plus and Hulu and ESPN. No longer the happiest place on earth, Disney. Okay, I know it's only Thursday. It's opening up today at Marcus Theaters, but here is my review of Kevin Costner's 3-hour-long Horizon, an American Saga, Chapter 1. So if the title seems long and a bit cumbersome, well, wait till you see the movie. But I got to tell you, I like Westerns. I like history. I like this movie. It is a little long and a little clumsy, but on the other hand, the new way of life in America after the Civil War was long and clumsy and confusing for thousands and thousands of people. It was an all-new world. And historically, this movie is solid. The story needed to be told. Despite the length, the pace, and what you may have heard, I liked it. I recommend it. 2.5, pretty much 3 stars. I really liked it. Here's a prediction for you. The movie Here, Here, starring Tom Hanks and Robin Wright, directed by Robert Zemeckis. It'll be released in November. Now, this movie here uses AI and a new de-aging technology and an unbelievable script. I predict here will be one of the top 5 movies of the year. More movie news and surprises tomorrow. Have a great day. Mike Evans, see ya.
There's the Mike Evans Hollywood Report. It's time now to look back. On this day in 1988, Mike Tyson stepped into a boxing ring in Atlantic City and looked across the ring and saw a young lad named Michael Spinks, who looked just like I would if I'd stepped into the ring with Mike Tyson. Deer in the headlights is a nice way to put it. 91 seconds later, Michael Spinks was unconscious and bewildered and confused and wondering where it all went so wrong.
That's when they first started doing the pay-per-view fights.
Yep.
And, I had the buddy that showed up 5 minutes late. Stopped and got some beer for us on the way.
Walked in, we're like,
oh, thank God you brought some beer. Go ahead and crack those open. Yeah, the fight's been over for several minutes now.
Yeah.
I read somewhere that the national anthem took longer than the fight.
I don't doubt it. Yeah, that can go for 2 minutes easily.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Good morning. It's Thursday, June 27th. Couple things to let you know about. At 7:50, we got a game, because that's what we do every day at 7:50. We play a game with a couple of listeners. We're giving away tickets for Rock the Boat 80s Cruise. That's coming up the last week of July, and we're going to give away tickets. We're going to play a game called TV or Not TV. That is the question. At 8:50, we will be discussing life and that 90s show with Kurtwood Smith, an actor for whom we have all been fans of forever. Everybody that has ever seen Kurtwood Smith in anything goes, oh, that guy's great.
I know. We just started chatting about him yesterday, and then, that movie, that television show. They pile up. He's been around for a while doing some great work.
That's right, dumbass.
Still doing great work. The man has just been on a tear for quite some time. So I'm looking very forward to talking with Kurtwood Smith. That is at 8:50. The game is again at 7:50. And right now, let's discuss marital bliss.
Yes.
Or the lack thereof. A woman in a town called Lebanon, Missouri, has been arrested. A 47-year-old housewife just going about her business. And the police were like, hey, you didn't try to kill your husband, did you? Well, he does drink a lot of Mountain Dew, and he's got a whole refrigerator in the garage full of it. Maybe I'll just slip a little something in that Mountain Dew. We have a news report for you.
A wife brewed up a toxic mix for her husband. Now Michelle Peters is facing charges tonight. Francis Watson explains why detectives believe this happened and what's next in this case? Francis.
Yeah, Paul, authorities haven't laid out a motive for the crime yet, but according to court documents, the victim believes it may have something to do with a life insurance policy. Laclede County deputies arrested Peters Monday. She's accused of spiking her husband's Mountain Dew with the popular weed killer Roundup. According to court documents, in May, Peter's husband noticed that his soda had an unusual taste and shortly after became ill. The victim became suspicious, causing him to review the video footage taken inside the garage where he kept his 2 liters. It was then, investigators say, he realized that his wife was adding something to his drink. Sheriff Millsap says Peters finally admitted to putting the weed killer in her husband's drink and says she was mad because he didn't appreciate the 50th birthday party she threw for him.
The investigation will reveal more as we go to court as to the totality of all the circumstances. So is there more to the story? Yes, there is, and all that comes out in court.
Now, Michelle Peters has entered a plea of not guilty. She's due in court next week. Her husband did survive.
The totality that will come out includes her being disappointed in his reaction to his 49th birthday party, his 48th birthday party. Like, literally, what are you talking about? That's what she told investigators.
All that work for just is that it? Thanks, whatever.
I guess so. But anything to avoid saying, well, he's got $600,000 on that policy I wanted.
Yeah.
By the way, I've never, I make a point never to Google things like how much Roundup does it take to kill someone. I don't Google anything that's going to come back to haunt me when I lose my mind. But there's got to be something less obvious than Roundup. Has you ever used Roundup?
Yeah. And first of all, the odor of it, it's like, should I even be breathing around this stuff? Maybe I should have where's that old pandemic mask at?
I mean, Roundup is just like, you look at it and you look at all the lawsuits, you just think to yourself, well, I'll just keep the weeds. You know what? Never mind. I don't even want to get this stuff near me.
I know Mountain Dew is pretty noxious. I mean, it has a potent flavor. I haven't drank it for years, but I've had me some Mountain Dew before.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that could cover up Roundup.
God, no.
I don't think and that's the problem now. You can't Google anything. It's in your search history, stored forever in the cloud. We all know, we've been around long enough to know that's where the coppers go right away. And it's like, she went ahead and Googled how to poison my husband. But I did Google it from a work computer here, so I'm probably liable. Now I can't poison anyone. You guys are safe.
All right.
But it turns out that while you can kill someone with Roundup, you can't do it in doses, incrementally, over a period of time. It's not arsenic, in other words.
You got to go with the wallop.
Yeah, the arsenic gets into your liver, gets in the bloodstream, gets into the tissue, and then over time will eventually kill you. We've heard of those things, right? The black widows that slowly killed their husbands using arsenic. That goes back to at least the 19th century, if not earlier. But Roundup it's got to be all in one big dose.
So you have to talk them into like beer bonging some Roundup?
That's exactly it, Ryder.
Okay.
You've got to get a large portion inside of him somehow. Just a little bit, a dab or a little in a Mountain Dew isn't going to get the job done. It was a half-ass attempt, but maybe if he had been a bit more excited about his 50th birthday party, whatever.
I mean, these things go awry.
I like she pleaded not guilty, but said that she was disappointed in his 50th birthday, or disappointed in his reaction to the birthday party. Which is it? Did you try to kill him?
I got to say, the woman's mugshot, I mean, she's right at 6 feet tall, too. This is a large...
I noticed that.
And she does, a lot of people, like Marissa Simonetti, who's running for the Hennepin County Board, a lot of people get that mugshot and they want to look kind of foxy.
Yeah.
This woman looks like she's going to poison the person taking the picture. She's like, oh, no, you're next, dude.
Yeah, get some Roundup for you.
I used to drink a lot of Mountain Dew back in the day because I didn't drink coffee yet. And boy, if you want to just never sleep, just work some Mountain Dew over.
Yeah, it's the biggest jolt.
Yeah,
that's caffeine you get.
Yeah, that's why I get even more so than an energy drink. But I think they probably hung their hat on that. They're in the cola wars with the rest of them, and Mountain Dew's back there in 10th place or something. Once upon a time, they're like, how do we? Just load it up with caffeine and create a nice addiction.
Yeah, there was there were some late night drives in the van when it'd be like, I got this. Just let me get a six. Let me get a sixer of Mountain Dew, and then I'll be seeing goblins and poltergeists by 9 a.m. when we get there.
Right.
Does the job, trust me. In a pinch, you can always get high as a kite on if you have enough Mountain Dew. So this marriage, I'm going to assume, is over. Like the guy did survive.
Although you've heard of, we had a story years ago that a woman shot her husband. Or no, it was her boyfriend. That's right. Shot her boyfriend. And the story ended with, they're now married. Wait, what happened? She shot him. He survived. And then they got married after that. And they asked him, why would you marry the woman that shot you? And he said, I didn't know she loved me till she shot me. I didn't know she cared enough about me to want to kill me.
Passion comes in many forms.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you never know with these crazy kids. Maybe if he's one of these guys that's desperately in love with her, maybe he's like, she cared enough to want to kill me.
I'm going to share a text from the KQ Talking text line, 651-989-ROCK. I won't share the name of the sender, but I'll just read this text. Antifreeze. That'll kill you if ingested, but it's semi-sweet and would be unnoticed in a Mountain Dew. And then he writes, how do I know? My mom tried it with my dad.
Oh.
Whoa.
Tried it, though. Did not work. But, yeah, I think you have to get enough dose. Unless it's going to be one of those poisons that, super potent, where they, back on the movies, they give you a little vial of it and you're done. But I think with these kinds of compounds, you've got to drink. Although we had, I remember a couple of cats out on the farm. Dad's like, who spilled the antifreeze in the shed? I'm like, why? Because some of the cats drank it and they're dead. Oops. So maybe it doesn't take too much antifreeze.
Was it you?
But I don't know. No, probably not. It was Chris. He burned down the barn. It's probably him.
No. Another marriage that has gone awry for a pretty different reason, and this is a real story that we are not making up. A woman has filed for divorce because her husband would not, could not, will not stop over-tightening all of the jar lids in their house.
What am I missing?
She literally was like, I'm losing my mind. Now,
losing your mind is right.
I think about things like, okay, you're being divorced because, my wife tried to poison me with Mountain Dew and Roundup, adultery, bigamy. He went to prison, mental abuse, physical drug addiction, irreconcilable differences. There's a million reasons.
Yeah.
How about he screwed the jar lids too tight? She literally said, look, I know it sounds like no big deal, but every jar in the house is over tightened to the point where he has to be there to open them. It's a control thing. Mm-hmm. It's so annoying when he isn't around. She can't get anything done, and she has confronted her husband about it many times over years, and it would get better for a little while, and then slowly but surely he starts over-tightening all the jars again.
You know, those little hand grippers we used to use when we were kids. You have kids who do that so you get the Popeye forearms. I'm like, I'm going to... Maybe she just needs to get some of those. But this does sound like the kind of petty crap that happens in bad marriages over long periods of time, where something you do to spite each other, or you just cranks them down. She's crazy.
No, check this out. She said if he wasn't home, she would always have to open a brand new jar of something, because if she already had, like, say, you got a jar of ragu, you use half the spaghetti sauce, and then he would retighten it back to where it was inoperable. And then, but the newer ones, brand new, unopened, are easier to open than when he would get a hold of it. So she was opening up, new jars. And she discovered jars that he never would have opened, like jars of products he never used in the back of the pantry. She was finding those were over-tightened. He was going through and intentionally doing this just to drive her crazy.
Maybe she's arthritic.
She was losing sleep. She had a breakdown. She said she was getting nauseous. She would throw up, and she would feel like she was having heart attacks. Her husband was out of town once. She had a neighbor come over to unscrew all the lids for her. And at one point, she even had to smash a glass jar of figs just to get to the figs.
Well, when you've got to have the figs, when it's fig time, figgy pudding, we just have Christmas. We're celebrating that.
By the way,
she's crazy.
The husband's reaction, according to the woman again, he was blindsided because we had no other issues other than the jar thing. He suggested counseling, and she said, there's no point. I just can't get past the damn jar lids. He won't even admit that he did it on purpose. He has given me no reason.
He is a freak.
Well, because at this point, it's not about the jars. It's about who thinks that makes. Why would you intentionally make this woman's life miserable by over tightening the jars?
Yeah, I'm on her side.
He said, she said, Tony.
Right.
But, I'm just thinking that a woman that is, first of all, really, he can tighten every jar and you can't open it? Is this...
How about you invest in some really nice, very easily to seal Tupperware? And just unjar everything.
Channel locks.
That's a great idea.
Or just go to cartons. Yeah, just come up with different packaging to begin with. Go down to
Ace Hardware and get yourself a nice big pair of channel locks.
Maybe the whole point is, maybe what the guy's trying to say is it too much to ask that you slice a few tomatoes, throw some onions and garlic in a pan, add a little paste, and then we got our own homemade sauce? Is it that tough?
What if she had put the camera in there, the hidden camera, and then, had the video evidence of him just cranking down on the lids?
I would watch that. I would watch like a 60-minute edit of a guy just tightening jars,
and just snickering and putting it back.
Yeah. But I mean, getting himself up in a getting all worked, huffing and puffing. You know what I mean? Just.
She's going to need these figs tomorrow.
Oh, that'd be great.
She's got to find a way to get back at him, like putting all his clothes inside out or something. Something makes his life difficult as well.
Yeah.
There's got to be something.
Well, that's what marriage is about, right? It's the secretly spiting each other, and torturing each other, doing those little things that aggravates the other, but being passive-aggressive about it, like, what? I just tightened the lid on the fig jar like I would normally tighten any lid, moderately.
It's the new, if we're going to brand marriage, we got the slogan, marriage. It's always something.
She broke the fig jar. Just smashed it open. I've got to have some damn figs. She does this every time.
Who's eating figs?
Out of a jar.
Last time you had a fig, get a fig Newton if you want a fig.
Damn figs.
I don't think those are figs.
Yeah.
Someone's going to sue him. You can't call it a Fig Newton and not have actual figs in there. We know that's a class action.
Growing up in a Chips Ahoy house, when there was the occasional Fig Newton, it was like a Easter. Like, oh my God, Fig Newtons.
Oh, see, we were the other way. Grandma had the Fig Newtons. I didn't. Of course, hers were always pretty stale. She didn't believe in closing a package,
Oh, the difference between a really fresh Fig Newton and a 1% less fresh Fig Newton is a huge difference. That's a very slippery slope. Open the bag and eat them all. That was the Gorman way.
Yeah.
Make no mistake about it. Hey, the Olympics are cooking up in Paris. The Summer Olympics are about to kick off, and Al Michaels will be there. Kind of. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Thursday, June 27th. The most famous sports call of all time, the first sports call that comes to mind, there's two that always are neck and neck, and they're both 6 words long. And the first one is just the repeated phrase, down goes Frazier.
Oh, yeah.
Down goes Frazier. Howard Cosell.
Down goes Frazier.
There it is.
Down goes Frazier.
You just think about that. It's like he goes on and on. The other one, also 6 words, but it's 6 different words. And that was, of course, from the Lake Placid Winter Olympics, USA over the CCCP. Do you believe in miracles?
Oh, yeah.
Yes! Al Michaels with arguably the most famous sports call, at least in American sports broadcasting history. Al Michaels, 79 years old, still great, still Al Michaels, will be a part of the NBC broadcast from the Paris Olympics. Sort of. Sort of. There's going to be something called Your Daily Olympic Recap on Peacock.
Yeah.
And it will be narrated by a, quote, high-quality AI recreation of Al Michaels' voice. Exactly.
I just feel like that's hilarious.
Oh, my gosh. This thing's been training itself using his many, many years of broadcasting. Specifically, lately, he's been doing NBC football, Sunday Night Football.
Yeah.
And they have just been feeding an AI machine with Al Michaels. Al Michaels himself was quoted by saying, frankly, it was astonishing, it was amazing, and a little bit frightening. It was not only close, it was almost 2% off perfect, which is his way of saying, like, it was more human because it wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
He was amazed by it, skeptical, but then eventually came around. Somewhere around the time the check cleared, I believe, is when he came around.
Well, this is how it works for you if you're an entertainer, which I know entertainers are fearful of it, terrified of it. I have a buddy that's a musician, and he's like, it's not there yet, but it's a lot better than I want it to be.
Sure.
Right now. And they're talking about some AI. He's been working with AI programs and writing music, and he's like, it's about as good as he can play it anyway. But if you're at the end of your career, you're looking in the rearview mirror at the best years, and you're going to retire, why not take one more big payday and sound young and beautiful and fantastic forever?
There's a reason that I don't have all the money I would need to just go away. Is because I would go away. There's a chip missing. The connection between, I think to myself, like Al Michaels was, he's earned every penny. He's great. I will listen to him talk about anything.
Yeah.
But, it's like, what is still, after all that you've accomplished, I mean, I get it. And then someone comes up and goes, actually, just don't even get off your couch in Bel Air.
Yep.
Just be a part of the Olympic broadcast. Sure. But I just think to myself, I would just be gone. I don't know. I would just be on an island somewhere or in a mountain retreat, and I would just throw my phone in the trash can. Tap out, man. You gave it up.
Check my balance every once in a while, and look how much money I made last month.
That's
just being lost out in the middle of nowhere. I'm interested to hear him. Of course, since he made this announcement, he talked about the demonstration that they gave him, the demo they played for him. There aren't any, they haven't released, NBC has not released this yet, so you can't find it out there. But I'm sure it sounds, we've listened to a lot of different AI examples on the show, and I have no doubt that it will sound exactly like Al Michaels.
Is there a line of weirdness to be drawn between a athletic event that insists they stringently test to make sure nobody's using broadcasting anything that's not natural, being broadcast by a computer-generated, not real Al Michaels. Like, how dare you put that that beta blocker in your steak before your big race or whatever the hell. I don't even pay attention. But but your race will be announced by a computer.
Yeah.
There's something about it that's just a little off.
I read an article just recently that said they can spot AI fakes using AI.
You need AI to flag AI.
Yeah,
that's pretty great.
All right, so
it's like it probably makes sense because it's like if you look at your phone and say, Siri, what is this song that's playing? Because you can't figure out what the song is. It's not that Siri listens to the music, but there's a signal. There's something in the code of It's not that Siri's like, well, hang on, that's got to be McCartney's voice. That's definitely his bass playing.
Sounds like he was up late last night. Maybe had a little too much to drink. Is he smoking again?
I would know George Harrison Slide Anywhere. That's the Beatles. Something. It's like, no, that's not how it works. There's little coded things in music, in digital music that enables. I mean, I don't think Siri doesn't work with live. Like if somebody walked in the studio right here, picked up a guitar and started playing their own song, like the actual artist, I don't think Siri would know the song because there's not a digital code. Maybe it is. Maybe that's something to figure out. Maybe we need human Siri to tell me if digital Siri can actually pick it out.
It's all blurring, isn't it? But like you, the moment they figure out how to completely recreate my voice and personality, why they would, finally get around to me, and I get paid for it. Goodbye. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. There it is.
That's really good.
Yeah, that's weird.
Going along with, is it Al Michaels or not? No, it's not. Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City Chiefs quarterback, a young man well on his way to playing the quarterback position as well as anybody ever has.
Yeah.
He's in the, if he plays until he's 40, it'll be him and Brady, depending on how you want to slice it or dice it. You can say they're not the best ever, but they have the best careers ever. He's already got, 3 rings? Does he have 3 Super Bowl wins? He does.
3 freaking rings.
In 6 seasons? It's crazy.
Sounds about right.
Anyway, I'm just setting the table. This is a very, very special athlete. Patrick Mahomes has been in many, many commercials already over the years. He just shot a Coors Light ad that you will not see until after he retires. There is an ad for Coors Light that's going to be placed in a time capsule. So the NFL rules prohibit players from promoting alcohol.
Yeah.
Okay.
They just did, though.
Coors Light, exactly. They found the workaround. They're like, we're going to bury the ad until someday in the future when Mahomes finally has permission to promote beer.
Clever.
A 2-minute YouTube video, the commercial they're filming, and then it stopped. The producer comes in and goes, hang on, we can't do this yet. And then they they're going to have a time capsule burial ceremony this Friday on YouTube. I mean, it's a good marketing.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah, exactly, because they found a loophole.
Yeah.
I'm sure the NFL's kind of scratching their head. They're like, can we? It's Pat. We'll let Pat get away with it. He can get away with that, whatever he wants to right now. But yeah, I mean, he just did. You just read it. It's there. They're going to do the whole time capsule burial ceremony, live stream it on YouTube on Friday. That's a Coors Light commercial, and that's Patrick Mahomes getting paid. I bet they're not withholding his pay for this little project until he retires.
I don't imagine that's part of the plan either. It's another one of those things. It's like you can have a fake announcer, but you can't put a performance enhancing drug in your bloodstream. You cannot promote alcohol if you are an NFL player. A league propped up literally by alcohol companies.
Last time I was at a football game, that's what I thought. I'm like, what?
God.
I don't have someone spilling a beer down my back and trying to pick a fight with me at home, but it's you'll see a beer or two consumed at a sporting event.
I mean, we literally have horses playing football. They're like famous ads.
The Clydesdales.
We have Clydesdales kicking field goals, for God's sakes, burned into our consciousness. You close your eyes and say Clydesdales, and your retinas, you're like, I can see them. There they are.
We cannot wait to go to a sporting event and pay 5 times the amount of money for that beer that we would pay buying it from a liquor store. So it's got a pretty tight grip on the sports world.
The NFL is responsible for a national frenzy over people going, what's up? I mean, think about beer and football. It's just such a part of it. But a current player, an adult man, cannot advertise for a beer company. It's just so silly. Oh my gosh. Hey, so if you guys do we still care about a show called The Bear?
Oh gosh, yeah, it's magnificent.
Yes, we do. I'm gonna watch it all freaking weekend.
Okay, I got through season 1 on fire. Loved it.
Yeah.
Couldn't stand season 2.
Really? What did you like about it?
Just enough already. None of you are ever going to grow or learn a thing about how weird you all are.
Is there a bear in it?
None of you are going to get your heads out of your asses. You're all just going to be these neurotic wrecks forever in a hamster wheel. I'm done. No, I'm sorry. And I got 2 minutes into the Jamie Lee Curtis episode, and I turned it off. I was like, I hate all these people.
Oh, that was so intense.
I know, but I like whatever. I've enough.
Is this the Cocaine Bear? Is this the one you're talking about?
No, Cocaine Bear that was priceless. I actually didn't see it.
Brilliant. I'm familiar with the Bear, and I know that there's a lot. It's like, what was that, Stranger Things?
Hey, chef. Give me that plate, chef. Watch out, chef. Thanks, chef. Show respect, chef. I got so inundated with everyone telling me how amazing it was. And like I said, I enjoyed the first season. I really did. But something about the second season, I was just like, I already know that.
Just recycle. It's not evolving.
Well, they have a much nicer restaurant. It's different pressures. But after a while, I just get tired of people that I just wouldn't want to hang out with in real life. I'm like, well, I don't want to hang out with you on TV.
Yeah, that's an issue to deal with.
I just want to smack you all in the head.
Yeah. The acting is just so true.
Why is it called The Bear?
If you watch it for that.
Can you just tell me that part? I haven't seen it. Why do they call it The Bear?
That's his nickname.
Oh, his nickname's Bear. Okay.
Yeah. The last name was, what is it? Bear.
Bertowski, I believe.
No, it's Italian.
It's Italian. Okay.
Yeah.
Bertolucci?
Yeah, Bertolucci.
Something like that, but it's a shortened version of that. That's his nickname.
But no, listen, no disrespect for people who love the show, because my life is filled with people who insist to me, no, the second season's way better. You're dumb. Yeah. So I'm probably dumb.
You are dumb, Steve.
The third season is hitting this weekend, and it's kind of and boy, the hype is already building. Yeah. Two things I want to there's a reason I'm asking about this beyond just so I can rip on the show. I'm also really, I think it's time we stopped dumping entire seasons of shows up on streamers at one time. String it out. If it's a good enough show, people will come back once a week. If you have to dump it all at once, then I think what you're saying is we don't think it's that great.
I kind of miss that anticipation too. Yeah. That's really old school. But it's kind of fun to look forward to. I'm going to go the other way.
Absolutely hate it. If you drop it once a week, I'm good for about 2 or 3 episodes. I'm feeling that with one show right now. I'm like, I'm not going to wait another week. I've got time now to watch TV. I'd like to watch the show now. If I've got to wait another week, there's a million shows out there. Something else is going to catch my attention. I haven't seen anything in years, probably since Patriot, to be honest with you, that I would wait around for another episode. So it's like, just go watch something else.
Takes all kinds. So all this to say, the star of The Bear is an actor named Jeremy Allen White, who was also in a show called
Shameless.
Shameless, thank you. Never saw it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I saw it. I enjoyed that.
Another show a lot of people I know loved, but I didn't get around to it. Jeremy Allen White is going to be Bruce Springsteen in a biopic.
That's great casting.
He's playing Bruce. And he's
got the nose for it.
He will be doing his own singing. He will not be lip syncing to the boss. He will be performing as Bruce Springsteen. So he's obviously gargling gravel as we speak to prepare himself. But the movie's called Deliver Me From Nowhere, and it's all about the making of Bruce's 1982 acoustic album Nebraska. Now that's interesting to me. I like that album a lot.
Yeah.
And so this is it's an acoustic record. If you're going to try to sing like Springsteen, that would be the one to go for, because you don't have to do the screams. You don't have to be, it's not an endurance. Those are quiet, muted performances. Yeah. It's very down. So I'm sure that he'll be able to figure that one out, assuming he can hold a tune to begin with. But I was thinking about it, like, it's a weird thing to be an actor and perform as a real live person. I mean, I've seen a million interviews where they're like, what's the difference between creating your own character and then playing someone who's a historical figure or a real person? And everybody's got their own sort of, way to figure that out, their own personal protocols. A lot of actors go, I didn't want to meet the real person at all. It would just throw me off. I'm going with this. But to sing, it's one thing to be like the show about the Lakers that HBO ran, where the guy that played Magic Johnson, it's incredible. I think it's one of the most amazing things ever.
But he doesn't sing like Magic?
No, hang on. Because how can you be Magic Johnson and not you forget he was so good at it, and Magic is this guy we've all known forever, and he's an athlete, he's 6'8". I mean, there's all these things about Magic Johnson that the more you think about it, it's like, how can you play that part? This kid was so great, actually kind of looks like him, but then just embodied that vibe. I just think it was an amazing performance. But that's not even actually having to play basketball. If you're going to perform as a singer and then you're actually singing, that is I'm just saying, that's putting on some big boy boots to try to step up there. Rami Malek as Freddie Mercury won the Academy Award, and I looked it up. He kind of did his own singing. They did an amalgamation. He sang along to Freddie. It was, I won't say it's AI, but they just sort of blended some voices to get a voice for the film. So it wasn't really Freddie and it wasn't really Rami. They found it somehow.
You get a feeling if it was Rami, that he would not have been an actor. Because if you can sing like Freddie Mercury,
that's a good point.
You just would have went straight to rock star. I think maybe. I'm thinking of some others that have done it. I didn't. The movie wasn't great, but Val Kilmer as the Lizard King, obviously in The Doors. I thought he was one of those. I'm like, no, not Val Kilmer. I love Val Kilmer. He's a great actor. He can't pull it off. I don't see it. And then I watched the movie and I went, I think he nailed it. Or Joaquin Phoenix as Johnny Cash. Right? Yeah, he sang those parts.
Mm-hmm.
And Reese Witherspoon sang
as June.
June Carter. So it happens. It's tricky, but I think with Springsteen, because he doesn't have a great range in his voice, and especially like you said for Nebraska, I was looking for some.
Jamie Foxx did a good Ray Charles.
That's right.
Very good.
Very good, Ray Charles.
Sure.
Yeah, I was looking for some Jeremy Allen White singing anything, and it turns out he just doesn't like to wear clothes. Does he wear clothes in the show The Bear? Because I see lots of Calvin Klein commercials. Here he is in underwear. Here he is just wearing a tank top with his bare butt. Yeah,
he's a small man with a very, very low body fat content.
Okay, yeah, he's got that going for him.
Yeah, he does have that going for him. He's got the Mark Wahlberg sort of vibe.
Yeah, you're right. Totally.
Like, way smaller in person than you would have imagined, but man, he's ripped.
What if he does Springsteen and then comes back and does Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch biopic?
That would be awesome. He's already got he's got the underwear ads. He's already there.
He does.
Loving and drinking.
Yeah, there you go.
Better than blood on blood. I could do a little Nebraska era boss. Anybody can do that. Take a turn, Maria. What about, is that Springsteen or is that Tom Waits? I'm veering into similar territory.
Springsteen is Tom Waits, or Tom Waits is Springsteen, with about 2 packs of cigarettes a day less.
Yeah, that's the the link.
Take away
from Waits to the boss. It's just a matter of nicotine.
Yeah, that's it, I think.
Man, that's pretty good. Kurtwood Smith is going to join us at 8:50. One of my favorite actors. I'm very excited.
Are you going to bring up The Patriot?
Maybe. Kurtwood Smith is he's got that 90s show. We're going to talk about it, but I'm gonna have to mention that I'm the biggest Patriot fan on earth. Leslie Claret, my favorite fictional character probably of all time.
A great one.
Yeah, just top notch stuff. I'm looking very forward to speaking with Kurtwood Smith. That is in a little over an hour from right now.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. That was, of course, Pink Floyd from The Wall. All just great reminders that post-war Brits had it tougher than we did.
Yeah.
Then you put on Pink Floyd, and you're like, man, I'm glad I wasn't born in Britain in the 40s.
Oh, man.
Whew.
Their depression, really, in a lot of ways, that it was for the generation of ours that went and fought in that war.
Yeah.
They grew up in that, but yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they made the best of it. He came up with the British invasion, reinvented music for the world.
Tremendous result, but the living through it part.
Yeah.
I just always think about like early 60s in London. They still haven't turned the lights on yet, and we got like 2 girls for every boy. We're in America, and we're singing about surfing. Yeah. And the Brits are like, yeah, we're eating tunas out of cans still. My dad's still a chimney sweep. I mean, it was just an entirely different experience.
Right, exactly.
So it's like I do understand the blues, actually. Yeah, no, I've never been to Chicago, but I get the blues pretty damn well, thanks.
They sure as hell did.
Yeah, there's a reason Jimmy Page, Jeff Beck, and Eric Clapton grew up in the same neighborhood.
It's nuts.
You know, it's like, well, I think I really understand what the playing's all about. He said, but I understand what he's trying to express in the notes he's not playing. I do too. I think we've truly got the blues, ain't we? And then kids in America are like, let's go to St. Louis and get some strawberry phosphates. Just a different time. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm not judging.
Bebop-a-lula, you know?
Yeah, man. I mean, we were doing what
Have
we
a good
could.
time. We had all the gold in the world. Everyone had a house and a car.
GI Bill did
television.
wonders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we didn't. Not nearly as many piles of bricks laying around.
Blues.
Just a lot of piles of bricks.
It was yakety yak, baby.
Damn straight it was. But speaking of good times, we're going to be rocking a boat July 26th, Stillwater Riverboats, KQ Rock the Boat 80s cruise. We would love to have you join us, and by you I mean literally a couple listeners on the horn right now who are about to compete for a chance to clear a couple tickets and join us on that boat. We're going to do it to it. Tony, what is it we're going to do?
We're going to present to you a title and a brief description of the plot. Then you decide, is it an actual movie that has been seen or you can see on a streaming TV platform, or is it something that was just made up, TV or not TV? And today we're going to focus on movies of the 1980s.
Oh, sure.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Wow, I feel like I got a chance at this one because I always just kind of play along with the listeners and do very poorly.
I like the way you say it'll either be a real movie or something just made up. Yeah, made up by the sociopath Tony Lee over there.
How dare you.
His little evil scientist laugh all the time. There it is. All right, let's do it. TV or not TV? I like it.
Right
Who's
on.
contestant number one?
Number one is our pal Michelle from Cambridge.
Michelle, good morning.
Good morning.
What's going on over there?
Not much. I'm over here helping my dad try and find his hearing aid. He lost it when he was cutting grass.
He lost his what?
He wore the hearing aid. Why did he wear his hearing aid to cut the grass? He got the mower
yeah, he
going.
cut the grass, and he went under a bush, and I lost his hearing aid again.
Damaged.
Okay, well, dang.
You gotta get a hearing aid like my grandma's glasses. They have that chain on it, you know.
Exactly.
There you go. I'm gonna invent that.
My dad used to get that.
It's on the chain. Oh, that's funny.
Man, well, Michelle, we're hoping that you have a little bit of an awareness, or at least an appreciation for movies from the 80s.
Oh yeah, I'm old school.
All right. Well, I never thought I'd hear the 80s be old. They are old school. It's 40 years ago, but man, it's just that sand, the hours of the sand glass tapping us on the shoulder at all times. All right, Michelle, good luck. We're gonna play TV or not TV. Let's do this.
Okay.
All right, Michelle, is this a movie that actually existed, came from the 1980s or not? It's called Holy Moses, a biblical spoof that begins when tourists find an old scroll about a false savior who was upstaged by Moses called the Book of Herschel.
Oh, God. Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Holy Moses.
Who started that?
Yeah.
Dudley Moore, Richard Pryor,
yes.
John Ritter.
I remember. I'm not sure I saw that.
Dudley
Why
Moore.
would you?
Hang on. Dudley Moore, Richard Pryor,
Dudley Moore's
John
in it.
Ritter, and a cocaine dealer. That's right.
Right.
Well, it was the 80s.
That's what I'm saying. Those guys, those three. Whew.
All right,
Come
Michelle.
knock on my door.
Your second one is Mac and Me, a young extraterrestrial separated from his family and stranded on Earth finds friendship with a boy in a wheelchair.
Oh, God, no.
Sorry, that is real.
I'm sorry it was real, too.
Yes.
Mac and
I'm
Me.
thinking Robin Williams, I guess.
E.T. spawned a lot of these crappy movies.
Yeah, it's like not as good at E.T.
I was going to say, like somebody literally was like, hey, that E.T. was a hit.
Right.
Let's do that. I mean, we don't
bad.
have Spielberg, but that's okay.
They cranked out a bunch of them. Yeah.
Paul Rudd famously goes on, I think it was Conan, and when he was coming on to potentially plug his latest project, he would always play a clip from Mac and Me with the alien and the kid in the wheelchair going off a bridge.
Oh, that's
Rudd.
Oh, that was from Mac and Me.
Yeah, that's
I remember
Mac and
that
Me.
shtick.
You know that clip?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The
Very
Mac
funny.
and Me, the alien in Mac and Me, it looks like somebody took a dump on ET.
Yeah,
Left
right.
It looks insane.
Or like a blow-up doll.
Yeah, it's really weird. All right, Michelle, you're 1 for 2. You're still very much in the mix here.
Michelle's right. Oh, no. Number 3 is liquor cabinet. When his parents go out of town for the weekend, Josh and his friends take over the house to party, and upon opening, find more than forbidden bottles in the liquor cabinet. They discover a stairway to an ancient Mayan underground city.
Oh, good God. Yes?
I'm sorry, that was made up.
No.
Nope.
Totally made
Although
up.
I got a feeling if you pitched it in the 80s, they would have bought it.
Well, there was one called Lick Her Cabinet, and that's a whole different situation.
That's a real porno title or not, Steve.
Yeah.
That's a different game show.
That is.
Let's see what's in this cabinet. Yeah,
I want to rock the boat. I want to rock the boat.
I love that.
It's getting steamy now.
There we go.
Feeling
All right.
like the 80s.
2 more for you, Michelle. Number 4, take this job and love it. Based on a true story, a summer internship turns into a steamy affair when a grad student from an Ivy League college becomes an assistant to country folk and gospel singer-songwriter Lyle Lovett.
Oh, God, yes?
I am sorry.
Oh, no.
Take this job and love it is not.
You're doing such a good job of pitching these 80s movies. I'm like,
My
this
rocking the
sounds...
boat ain't doing too good.
Well,
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
are.
No, you got a couple, right? You can end up in the
We
positive
want
here.
to do that rock the boat 80s.
All right.
I didn't know where that was going until you finished with Lyle Lovett. I was like, oh, my God, that's great.
That's what confused me, yeah.
Right. Lyle Lovett confuses everyone. That whole Lyle Lovett, Julia Roberts thing, very confusing.
That was weird.
Don't remind me. Boy, ripped my guts out that one. I got a story. I got a story.
Oh, you got a great story.
After the game show, I'm going to remind you.
It's painful.
All right. One more for you, Michelle. One more shot. This is called Delivery Boys. A group of pizza delivery boys living under the Brooklyn Bridge are united by their interest in breakdancing, form a team, and enter a contest sponsored by a women's panty manufacturer.
Oh, goodness. Oh, my boat's rocking. Yes?
Yes, it is real. 1985. That's a real creation.
I've been trying to get this so bad.
Wow, my God, I'm going to freaking buy you tickets if you don't win them. Seen anybody want to get on a boat so bad in their life? You can be my date.
If it was 80s music, I'd be rocking on that one.
Oh, there'll be 80s music. Don't you worry about that.
This is the best pizza I've ever had. It's from under the Brooklyn Bridge. You want to see me break dance?
Yeah. I was like, that sounds really familiar. And then you said women's panty manufacturer. And I went, that's 80s. It's got 80s written all over it.
Hey, speaking of Brooklyn and dancing, Staying Alive, the sequel to Saturday Night Fever, starred Kurtwood Smith, who we're speaking with later this hour, but he was cut from the film, but is still in the trailer.
How did he start? So he didn't start.
I mean, no, he had a part. He had a part. He was a bad guy.
No kidding.
God, that was a bad movie.
Fun fact.
I did not watch. I did not watch the sequel.
Yeah, there's 2 trailers you can watch. One's like 2 minutes long, and it's all the dancing and all the making out. And the second trailer, it's all Stallone backstage going, "Yeah, you want to stand over here."
That
it's
big fur coat.
Yeah, it's
the
really,
big
really
fur
bad.
coat.
Michelle, 2 for 5, which around here plenty of times is enough to get the job done. We're going to put you on hold. Stay with us. We're going to put you on hold. We're going to go to contestant number 2. Who we got, Tony?
Number 2 is Joey from Minneapolis.
Joey, good morning. Joey.
Hello.
Good morning, Joey.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We got you loud and clear.
I didn't lose my hearing aid.
I'm driving around Mille Lacs and I'm switching between 3 radio stations with you guys.
Cut that out.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, you don't need the radio on now. We're talking to you on the phone live. So
Stop driving. You get to the north side, you might lose us.
Let's play the game. You good with 80s films? You ready for this?
Ready.
Let's do it.
All right, Joe, your first one is Harry and the Hendersons. Returning from a trip to the woods, the Henderson family's SUV hits what turns out to be a Sasquatch, and they take him home to heal. He's kind of sensitive, but they soon fear for his safety.
Yeah, that's a movie.
It is, starring John Lithgow.
A documentary, wasn't it?
Yes,
Tony?
it was based on true facts. Skeptic.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 is Can't Stop the Music. A fashion model helps her roommate get a record deal by recording with a singing group called the Village People, comprised of a cop, a cowboy, a construction worker, a soldier, a tribal chief, and a biker.
That's true.
It is true.
Wow. Joey's the one who bought a ticket to that. Sold one ticket in the world. That's right. It was his lowest grossing box office ever.
I went to see the Village People live.
I bet it was awesome.
It was a great date.
Oh,
yes.
I bet it was hilarious. That'd be great.
It was fun.
All right, Joey, 2 for 2. Well done, sir.
Number 3 is Jorley jumps for no one. After being given a second chance after an accident, Jorley, a former Ohio State gymnast, gets bionic robot legs, sets the world record for consecutive hours bouncing on a trampoline, then disappears, adopting a new identity in the Philippines.
No.
Correct. That is made up. Utter nonsense. By God.
Yeah. Wow.
Totally.
Jorley jumps for no one.
He does not. I jump for no one. I am Jorley. No. Number 4.
Why do I get the feeling there's an entire script that says written by Tony Lee under your desk?
There's a couple.
Oh, I'm sure there
Bionic,
is.
you don't even need a trampoline.
Right. Oh, good point.
Well, look at you connecting the dots.
I really, Tony's like, I always thought Jorley was going to be the one.
I gotta cross that off. It doesn't need the bionic legs. Number 4 is Torpedo. An insurance adjuster daydreams of doing heroic things while he adjusts the shelves in his office cubicle, goes to lunch at the food court, and shops for luggage.
No.
Correct. Torpedo is not real either.
I appreciate Joey has his own buzzer sound.
Yes. Oh, he's
that Mike
rivaling
Evans?
Mike Evans. Yes.
Wow.
Can you give us a little Aloha Friday?
Uh,
No.
No. That's good. We'll all hold our breath and wait for tomorrow.
Joey, your last one is better off dead. After Lane's girlfriend dumps him for a D-bag ski jock, his attempts at suicide bring him only embarrassment. A French exchange student and his quirky friends encourage him to race the new boyfriend down the dreaded K-12 slope with pride and love at stake.
I'm going to say no on that one, too.
I'm sorry. Better off dead. Oh, it's the best.
Cusack, right?
John Cusack, you bet.
I think I still have that on VHS in the back of a closet
Curtis
somewhere.
Armstrong.
Man. Joey, but don't sweat it, man. 4 for 5 is solid work, my man.
Yeah.
Really well done. Michelle, I'm sorry, dear. 2 for 5, not enough today, but it was an absolute joy and a treat for us to have you on the show. Thanks, Michelle. Joey, congratulations. You got the tickets, brother. We'll see you on the boat.
Yeah, let's get Michelle's information, too. She's going to be my date.
Tearing out over Mille Lacs right now. I'll be on the boat.
All right. Fair enough.
That's just beautiful.
All right.
Thank you.
Enjoy your spin up there.
Are you really popping for her ticket?
Good luck with the Brainerd Cash Call. I'm assuming that he's listening to WJJY up there, the Brainerd Cash Call. And Joey, we have Joey on the line. Would you like to take a guess today? Yeah, absolutely. Michelle, she wanted it so bad. Break my heart if she didn't get on that boat.
Oh, look at that. A lot of love here on the morning show today. Nice.
And
That's
she,
beautiful, Zeb.
And she sounds like she puts out.
That's beautiful.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
Real quick follow-up to Lyle Lovett, Julia Roberts.
Yes.
So I'm going to make this real short, but here's the point. 1989... No, I'm sorry. Fall of 88, Mystic Pizza hits theaters. Julia Roberts, not her first movie, but the first movie she made that anybody saw.
Yeah.
Because her first movie was called Satisfaction with Liam Neeson. She was the bass player in a rock band led by Justine Bateman.
Justine Bateman, that's right.
Terrible movie.
Oh, so bad.
Which I saw later on cable and was like, oh my God. But her second film, Mystic Pizza, blew up. It was a big hit. I went on a date to see Mystic Pizza with a girl that I had met and completely forgot ever having met. And she showed up at my workplace to say, are we going to go? And I was like, I'm sorry, who are you? And the night before, I drunkenly asked her out. I had no recollection.
Yeah.
So it was just destined not to last. But we went to see this movie, and after the movie, I ended up at my buddy's apartment, and I said, I just saw a movie called Mystic Pizza. I go, well, the girl's kind of hot, man, like kind of cool.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, wait, that's Eric Roberts' sister. And I was like, wait, really? Because Eric Roberts was already kind of a made man, Pope of Greenwich Village and stuff. He was cool.
The Dottie story? Or
Star 80.
Star 80, exactly. And so we're sitting around this apartment late at night. It's Thanksgiving week of 88. And then he goes, yeah, there's an article about her in the paper. And I read about it. I'm like, yeah, that's the girl I just saw. And then after 3 or 4 more moments of drinking bourbon, I decide, you know what, I'm going to call her and ask her out.
Yeah.
So I look to the phone book, and I look up a bunch of Roberts in Smyrna, Georgia. There's like 100 of them, and the third one I call, it's her house. And I'm like, hey, can I speak to Julia? Drunk and thinking it's funny. She's not in. Can I take a message? Yeah, tell her Steve called. Okay. I'm like, all right, I'm in. And then don't really think much about it. Don't think much about it. And then nothing happens. A month later, it's around the Christmas holidays. I'm at Mac's house again. He goes, did you ever get your date? I go, oh, I forgot. We're drinking again, obviously. I find the phone book, call the number again, leave a message. Hey, is Julia there? Nothing. She's out. She'll call you back, Steve. Tell her Steve called, and nothing. And then a couple weeks pass. I'm at work at my record store, and I'm telling the girls I work with, I'm like, well, I've been this is funny and weird, but and when I'm at Mac's, every time I'm over there, we call Julia Roberts. And they're like, oh, well, man, that's great. You should. And I said, I got a gig. I want to invite her to come see the band. And my friend Kelly's like, well, let's just call her now. You keep calling her late at night. Call her now. You're sober. The store's not open. If you're going to talk to her. And I was like, you're right. I get talked into this.
Nice.
And I mean, talked into this by Kelly and Sarah, the 2 girls I work with. I'm like, well, if they think it's cool, it's not that weird and creepy. I call the number. Can I speak with Julia? Yep, hang on. I'm like, oh, here we go. And of course, Kelly's on the extension. She goes, hello. I said, hey, Julia, it's Steve. She goes, Steve who? I go, oh, we don't know each other. She's like, okay. And I'm on the phone with her for almost 30 minutes. Just the charm offensive was just, I'm killing it. I'm inviting her. I said, you're a hot star now. I hear you're making this Steel Magnolias next. You got a whole thing going on. You're back home. You come back from LA. It's probably a little slow, a little boring. I know how it is. You're stuck at your mom's house. Why don't you come out and see a good band tomorrow night? Playing at the Cotton Club. She's like, you're calling me at my mom's house to invite me to your band. I go, I didn't know how else to get a hold of you. And she's laughing and laughing and laughing. And then she threw out she said, well, this is very intriguing, which I later learned is a nice way to say no. But it went really well. And she goes, well, so is my boyfriend allowed? I said, bring him. I said, I'm sure Myron's a great guy.
Son of a...
And she's laughing. She goes, his name's not Myron. I said, whatever. And we have this really funny chat, right?
Yeah.
She doesn't show. A year later, the Steel Magnolias premiere comes out in Atlanta. They have a big party. And I weasel my way into this big black tie event, and I wear a suit, and I'm with my buddy who writes for the local free weekly rag. He got us passes, and we had made in the interim Shake Your Moneymaker, the first Black Crowes album. It wasn't released yet, but I had a cassette tape of it. And at the big party, I see her for 5 seconds. She comes walking as she's leaving, and I get in her way, and she's like, hey, and I'm like the only dude there with like long hair, looking good, feeling, she's like, hey, I go, hey, I said, hey, Julia, I called you last year, and she looks at me and goes, Steve. And I go, yeah. And she goes, hey, what's going on? I go, how you doing? And I said, I like the movie. And she was like, you did? I go, not really. And so she laughed at that.
Yeah.
And I said, Nate, I know you're busy. I said, hey, my band that you didn't come see, still kind of, not over that. But anyway, we made a record. It's coming out in a couple months. I wanted to give you a copy. She goes, oh, great. Takes the cassette. And it wasn't an official cassette. It's one I made.
Sure.
Handwritten.
She goes, oh, thanks. And I said, the number's in there. You can give me a shout. And she laughed. She's like, okay. And then she's taken away by security. And so that's my date with Julia Roberts. That's so the story goes on, and it's really funny, and everyone's like, yeah. So my buddy JT is telling everybody in the Atlanta scene for oh, Steve and Julia Roberts, and everyone's like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, we have a thing. I don't want to, it's not that big a deal. And so I play it, but there's this moment when people think that I'm actually seeing this new movie star.
Yeah.
Steel Magnolias comes out. It's the biggest thing ever.
Huge.
The next summer, Pretty Woman hits, and then it's just over. I mean,
Look
then
out.
she's like literally on another planet. That's it. That's the end of the story until she marries Lyle Lovett, and a few years later, then they are in Ireland, and a good buddy of mine, Brian, he's an MTV guy, a producer. He is in Dublin for some project, and he ends up at a bar, and there's a bunch of people there, and there's Lyle Lovett and Julia Roberts and a few other people that he's working with, and they're all having a drink and they're having fun. It's like 5 years since that Steel Magnolias party, and Brian at some point is sitting with Julia, and he goes, I hate to bug you, but I got to ask. I got this funny story. He goes, a friend of mine is in a band. He's a drummer, and he's from Atlanta. Really funny guy. And he called you at your mom's house once. And then, I think he saw you and gave you tape. And she goes, oh, my God, I totally remember that guy. His name's Steve, right? And he goes, yeah. And she goes, he was so funny. I mean, he really was. She goes, I've told that story. Yeah. I had the best time. She goes, I mean, I wasn't about to go see his band. It was kind of weird. But she goes, but then she goes, yeah, and I met him, and he gave me a tape. And she goes, and he goes, yeah, did you ever listen to it? She goes, no. I mean, and he goes, have you ever heard of the Black Crowes? She goes, oh, yeah, Atlanta. She goes, I love the Black Crowes. He goes, yeah, that's Steve. He's a drummer. Wow. And she's like, wait, what? And he goes, yeah, that tape he gave you was Shake Your Moneymaker. And she's like, I wore that record out in this whole thing. And she's like, yeah.
She had just popped it in the damn boombox because we know that she digs musicians.
Hard to handle. Starts with the drums. That's all it would have taken.
Oh, my God.
So when I say that I'm the one that got away, I mean it.
You're the one that got away.
I'm the guy that didn't get arrested for stalking. That's actually how I choose to look at
it.
And
obviously, if she married Lyle Lovett, I mean, this is not an insult, but you had to be thinking the same thing that every man in America that had a crush on Julia Roberts was thinking. Wait, Lyle Lovett?
Yeah.
I mean,
no, I've been saying for years.
Yeah.
I've been saying for years. I'm pretty good looking for an ugly guy, and he's pretty ugly for a good looking guy. So somewhere in the middle, I could have made that happen.
Son of, she had just popped it in the boombox. A little curiosity, come out to the show.
If she had popped it in the boombox, we might have been popping it into the boombox. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
that's tough.
You wouldn't be sitting here telling that fantastic story.
Warning for anybody who's not already on a little app called Nextdoor. Don't hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. The KQ Talk and Text line, 651-989-ROCK. Just going to clarify a couple things. First of all, Wally texted in about an earlier conversation. Siri does, in fact, listen to the song, and yes, it works with live music. So, okay. Fair enough. I'll just assume that's true. I have no reason to argue with that. And then here's one I want to read. Take this job and love it. Jorley jumps for no one. Tony is a brilliant writer.
I love that message.
Look at that, Tony.
I'm saying,
getting some love for the bizarre things that come out of Tony Lee's brain.
It's just a studio exec is swinging through town or driving around Mille Lacs right now. You never know. You could have pitched a movie.
Oh, shucks.
The Nextdoor app. Does anybody here have this app?
I do not have it, but I have heard much about it.
Yeah. Tony, you or Rachel?
I don't have it, but I've taken a peek at it.
Okay, Rosemary has it, and she's been on it for years because it's her favorite thing, because just the insanity of our very own neighbors, the things that they just post out there. And a lot of times, okay, so we lived in Nashville for 20 years, and we had a lot of neighbors that were a lot of older folks, if you will. And so sometimes there are
assholes.
Yeah, sure are. Sometimes there's assholes. Sometimes there's just people you can tell they're just lonely, too. It's like, oh, you just want to chime in. You're just hoping for some interaction, but then they turn out to be the assholes because you're lonely because you've run everyone else off.
Yeah,
basically.
Right, exactly. No one wants to come over and hang out with you anymore.
Over the holidays, we were back in Nashville, and Chauncey got out of our backyard. We have a fenced yard. There's a big gate, and a guy came over and did some work, and when he left, he didn't pull it all the way, as sometimes happens. And so a little bit of wind, a gust later, the thing's wide open.
Chauncey, a dog of opportunity, yes.
And the dog of opportunity for any reason at any time, he goes right out and not wearing a collar because he's in a fenced-in, locked-up backyard, and he had walked out, and we call it his clothes. We remove his clothes
at
night.
Let him breathe, yeah.
He sleeps, and then he shakes his head, and then the chains don't wake us up. The tags. So, anyway, here's the story. He's out in the neighborhood. Rosemary immediately takes a photo. She gets on the WhatsApp app, the Nextdoor app, not WhatsApp. Nextdoor app. Here's a photo. Hey, guys, this is our address. Chauncey looks like this. He just ran out of the backyard within the last 5 minutes. We're already out looking for him. I'm in the car. Connell's driving his car. We're calling, looking. And please call, if you see him. He's very friendly. If you have a yard, he'll come in. You can shut him in, whatever. The responses are incredible. For everyone who goes, oh, poor baby, hope you find him. Then it's like, what kind of person doesn't put a collar on their dog?
Shut up.
And then the next one is, what kind of person lets their dog escape? And then what kind of person? And I'm like, and Rosemary was at first. She's like, the kind of person who had someone working at their house, and that person left the gate open. What the hell? What am I? What
a human?
Don't even. I would just say, what's your address?
Yeah,
I'd love to come answer you in person.
And then there was a few, but people just piled on so angrily. The idea that there's a dog loose. It's like, he's not a killer. We don't want him to get hit by a car. He's not going to come maul your grandchild.
They probably have bodies in their crawl space.
Man.
And they're, that's not the question. The question is if you've seen the damn dog, otherwise shut up. I hate WhatsApp.
The best post she told Nextdoor. The best post from a couple years ago was a woman wrote, she gets on there and she goes, I was just out for my walk, and at the corner of two little streets come together, she goes, there were 3 boys, I don't know, 14, maybe 15, and they were in that yard. I've never seen them before, and they were throwing Frisbees. Does anyone know who they are? And I'm like,
you gotta be kidding me.
No.
Mrs. Kravitz, shut your curtains.
And of course, I didn't.
Go make yourself
respond.
a gin fizz.
We didn't respond. One of the first comments was, "Is Frisbee a euphemism for something?" And then someone else wrote, "Boys with Frisbees, the apocalypse is upon us."
Run.
Like what? They're boys throwing a Frisbee.
Yeah, this is what I've heard about this Nextdoor app, is that there's, that nosy neighbor, that Mrs. Kravitz, that just a-hole person now has a voice. It's like social media, the keyboard courage, the person that's supposed to stay in their house and just drive, I don't know, their husband, their spouse crazy, themselves crazy, or whatever. Now they've been let out into the neighborhood,
and people use it to just to barter and exchange goods. You'll see a post, and it'll be the plate you have for around a light switch, like a double plate or a triple plate with the 3 holes, and people will place a thing on there, and they'll say, "This cracked. Does anyone have one? I could come and get it."
Yeah, Ace Hardware. I believe,
the hardware store
has a whole bunch of them.
But we're not here to. Yeah, but it's mine. It's on my wall. She want me to take it off for you? Here's one. I'm reading from the app. It's under the headline, suspicious behavior. I saw my next door neighbor drive up to their house, open the garage door from inside the vehicle, and drive in, and the door closed behind them last night around 5:30 p.m. Anyone else see this? Typically, they park in the driveway, but last night they parked in the garage. I have made a report, but want to keep others on the lookout for this type of behavior. It just makes me nervous to have this happening in my neighborhood.
I'm going to recommend edibles for you. Probably let's start with 20 milligrams and maybe work it up to about 30 to 50, depending on, of course, then they're only going to get more paranoid. But what kind of vacuous life do you have that, they drove into the garage this time and not, okay.
It's
called a true crime podcast. Listen to that.
With your binoculars.
Yeah. Do you know who people are when you're on the Nextdoor app? Do you know who's chiming in?
Oh yeah, it's their name. You
so
have to
they're
use
accountable.
your real name.
Oh, okay, all right.
My favorite was a neighbor, a guy we know. He was a dad at school with our kids. His kids and our kids went to school together. And one morning, just out of the blue, this is my favorite. If I'd thought of this ahead of time, I'd try to find it. It's years ago. It's probably not still there. He literally just writes this: "Hey, just sipping coffee, and I just ran into Mike, the newspaper guy. He's been delivering our newspaper every morning for 10 years, and he's such a good fella. And I know a lot of us get the paper, but if you've never met the guy who actually delivers it, if you ever see him, and I just thought, I just wanted to put a spotlight. We don't ever take the time to let people know they're doing a great job. It was one of these posts from just such a genuine place of, what? That's a good dude. And I didn't get the local paper, but I've seen this guy early in the morning. He's in a car and he drives around and he has the papers folded up and he throws them to every porch. Every single comment. Hey, next time you see Mike, tell him to get my paper out of the bushes. If you ever see Mike again, tell him to double bag on rainy days. Oh, really? If you ever see Mike again, nothing but complaints about Mike's paper delivery. It was so funny, because you just picture a guy in the morning like, I'm going to give Mike some love and make sure the other neighbors think to do the same thing. And it was nothing but complaints about his work.
I'm starting to come around to a different point of view. Now I want to get on this app.
Yeah.
Really bad. And just really start mixing it up with these people and start upsetting their lives a little bit more.
How about this? In California, Rancho Cucamonga,
What?
Neighborhood, that's a town. Neighborhood Watch.
Of course it is. It's an infamous town.
Here's a PSA from the Neighborhood Watch on Nextdoor. Halloween is officially 4 weeks away, and I was hoping to catch you all before you make your candy selections. Over the last 3 Halloweens, I've noticed candy stock has become more and more diluted with cheap candy. I don't know if this is a trend as a result of higher bills or even the new construction, but cheap candy has infiltrated our community, and it has to stop. Listen. Dum-Dums, Smarties, and Jolly Ranchers may be suitable for Ontario, Fontana, or even Montclair, but not here in Rancho Cucamonga. We are an affluent neighborhood, and this status should be reflected in our candy provisions for Halloween.
Here. Have you ever been to Rancho Cucamonga?
Yeah.
It's where the workaholics dudes are from. It's a pit.
It's a pit. Standard, full, or king-size candy is the bar, pun intended,
Wait a second.
that we set for our community.
This might be a kid that signed on to Mom's app or something.
You know
like
what?
That.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, let's...
Smarties and Necco wafers and stuff like that do suck.
No popcorn balls.
For the elderly who hand out coins, unless you plan on throwing some quarters into the mix, stop peddling your pennies and step up your game this Halloween.
All right. Well, this kind of almost sounds parody. That's fantastic.
It's for the kids.
Yeah, for the kids. This is cheap. This isn't Ontario. Well, we can do better than this.
How about this? Subject harassment cat. For the past 3 weeks, a cat has been following me on my daily walks. I'm worried that the owner may have trained the cat to follow people, and then he'll rob them when they get home.
What?
That's pretty funny.
Why does he need the cat? What's the cat doing? Is he communicating with the cat? Does the cat have a camera and a walkie-talkie?
He's taking that cat burglar pun too literally.
The old cat burglar. Yeah, people are weird. You don't want to get to know your neighbors.
Here's one. A woman named Kathleen writes, kindly stop emailing this to me. Thank you. And then there was a response. Kathleen, go up to the title of the thread. Over to the far right, there's an arrow. Click on that and simply choose turn off notifications. When you reply to a comment, it automatically sets you up to get all of the replies until you click that choice. And then the woman writes back again, no, you figure out a way to take me off the email.
Yeah, it's on you.
It's called murder.
Yeah. All right, here's my favorite.
Run you down when I see you in the street.
Here's my favorite from Nextdoor. And these are all honest to God real. Someone keeps farting in my mailbox late at night. I can hear it outside my window, and I smell it every time I check my mail. This is getting old and is extremely childish. My bills and coupons smell so bad I can't even pay them or use them at the grocery stores. Anyone in my neighborhood, keep an eye out for the brown eye. I will catch this flatulent phantom. I have reported this to the police. Wow.
I mean, it sounds to me like your mail carrier might not be washing their hands after they poop.
Man, it could really just be that simple.
Yeah, farting in the mailbox. I mean, first of all,
I can hear it.
You got to be tall, unless you just have a mailbox that's down there. I mean, just if it's window high, you got to get your butt up there and fart into the mailbox. I don't know. I'm going to try that later today in some random neighborhood around Minneapolis. See if I can't get a good fart into a mailbox.
Make sure you leave your name.
Yeah,
of course.
What if you live in an apartment complex and the mailbox it's just a mail slit for outgoing mail, and you just got to climb up there on the stuff? Never mind. I don't want to.
You're going to need an attachment.
I don't want to thought.
Yeah, an accessory to get that one done.
Check this out. Somebody wrote this they went to the Nixon Presidential Library, and they posted a photo of a man sitting at a desk. And they said, possible cult activity at Nixon Library. And this is what they wrote. During the entirety of my library visit, which was about an hour, I watched this man stare at photos of Gary Busey and print them off. I don't know what his agenda is, but I have a feeling it could be cult or Illuminati related.
Well, I mean, first of all, you admitted publicly that you've been to the Nixon Museum. And secondly, anyone that goes in there is about half cracked, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, sure. It builds quickly. Hey, here's one. Hey, drivers, if a stoplight is out, you must treat it as a four-way stop. A lot of people need this reminder today. And then someone writes, what about if it's a diamond intersection? And then the original person writes back immediately, how about you keep your a-hole comments to yourself? Just chirping. Just people just chirping.
Oh, we weren't meant to live together.
All right, fine. And finally, this is the ultimate Nextdoor app. Urgent alert is the listing, and then the message is simply this. Hi. And someone writes, "Hey, Gerb, do you understand urgent alerts aren't just for saying hi?" And Gerb responds, "Hey, Patrick, do you understand I'm just trying to make friends?"
Urgently.
It's just fantastic. All right. Hey, we've been mentioning this since yesterday, maybe even 2 days ago, because we're all excited. The great Kurtwood Smith is going to call in and hang out with us on the KQ Morning Show. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Thursday, June 27th. How about this? Tonight, season 2 of that 90s show drops on Netflix. Part 2, I should say, premieres tonight, June 27th. Part 3 later the year in October. And if you are a fan of that 70s show and now that 90s show, you certainly know who Kurtwood Smith is. Kurtwood Smith now joins us on the KQ Morning Show. He plays Red Foreman. Kurtwood, good to talk with you, sir. Thanks for calling.
Steve, so happy to be talking to you, especially on this day. And thanks so much for making a little time for me. I appreciate it.
Of course, sir. I'm going to start in the Wayback Machine. You and I go back to RoboCop and Dead Poet Society, the two things that first jump out at me. Different parts, but parts that when the movie was over, whether it was the writer's intention or not, you were the character that I was like, oh, that guy was amazing. And you've always had that ability to these characters you play, they tend to really stick with me. And Red Foreman's one of those guys as well. Could you have imagined when you guys started shooting that 70s show that it was going to be such a hit? I mean, is there any way that you had that feeling of, oh yeah, we're onto something? Because it doesn't feel like that was a guaranteed winner out of the gate.
Well, no, here's the thing. I think, I like to say that I knew the show was going to work about episode 3 when I said, some bad things don't happen to you because you're unlucky. Bad things happen to you because you're a dumbass. Right. And the audience went nuts. And I thought, okay, they are really dialed into the family situation. And they love Eric, and they like Red, and otherwise they wouldn't really respond as well to that joke. Now, that said, I didn't know it was going to run for 8 years. I didn't know we were going to do 200 episodes of the thing. But it was a pleasure, and as it is in the '90s show. A pleasure to go to work every day.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the case. You've been at this a while, and it's a great thing to have it come back around, I'm sure. And you've done so many different things. It's always got to be exciting to get into a new situation, new learning, something, so it doesn't feel repetitive. But at the same time, when you are on a series, like you said, for 8 years, that feels kind of like you're in the perfect place. You're still creating, you're still getting scripts, you're still working a character, but that familiarity over the years, I assume it just grows and grows and makes it better every season.
That's exactly the way I felt it happen. I mean, if I look back on the show, as the newer shows, when I say newer shows at the beginning of our run, they're wonderful. But then if you look at the shows later on, there's so much more depth in the script and in the characters. And that's one thing we're lucky in a sense, because even though we have all these new kids on the show, Deborah Jo and I are picking up where we left off. And these new kids, they did such a great casting job on these guys, because not only are they talented, they've got individual characters, and yet they work so well together as an ensemble that it's wonderful to watch them. It's wonderful to see and be a part of their growth as performers, as well as physically. These kids are so young. Like Ren Doy's a foot taller than he was last year, so
yeah, right. That's got to be really rewarding to see every subsequent generation. There's still great talent out there, and there's still, thankfully, places for kids like that to find gigs.
Yeah, and I'd like they got this gal Callie who plays our granddaughter. That casting is so great. She does things sort of unintentionally that are perfect Eric reactions. Her father, so to speak, and that's she's tall and skinny and funny. Just like Topher Grace. So.
Kurtwood Smith, Red Foreman in that 70s show and that 90s show, the man responsible for reintroducing the word dumbass to our daily lexicon. Kurtwood, you're going to have to indulge me for a second here. I am a lot of things, but nothing more than a McMillan man.
Oh.
And you and I have a mutual friend in Steve Conrad. And
you know Steve?
I do. I just spent some time with him. We've been buddies for a long time. And Boy, you just hit my pleasure button right there. I mean, Steve Conrad. I can't say enough about that guy and that show Patriot and the other one, Perpetual Grace, that we did. Sure.
Just absolute. I'm going to be seeing Terry O'Quinn this next week too, and
that's great.
Yeah, we work together a lot in that show. I don't see that much of him because he's an East Coast guy, and I'm out here in California, but we'll see him next week.
For both those shows, Patriot and Perpetual Grace, you and Terry O'Quinn had some of the greatest scenes. Patriot especially. I'm a fan of the podcast. Leslie Claret is a real person in my world. So, I have to just take a moment and say that character and that performance in what is also in every way a brilliant show, my favorite show. But you are the glue in that thing, man. I loved everything. The first time I saw it and watching you in every episode, it's truly my favorite thing ever.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It just was very special for me, and I think about that show all the time and wish we had done that damn third season.
I know.
Because we really wanted to. There were some things that could have been wrapped up. Anyway,
sure.
That's.
Yeah.
Don't let me get away though without saying how great it is to be working with Deborah Jo Rupp. I feel like I'm one of the luckiest actors working to be able to work with her.
Oh, yeah.
She is such a talent and such a close friend of mine. We really have each other's back. I had a rough first season because my back had gone real bad. And she was there supporting me every day on stage, or when we were rehearsing or performing. I knew if I was in trouble, I could give Deborah Jo a look, and she'd save me somehow. So.
Sure. No, you guys are. That's as great a TV couple as there's ever been. I mean, without a question, you guys. You're not acting up there. You're just living. It's pretty obvious.
Right.
So tonight on Netflix, as we speak, 90s Show Season 2 is available. Part 2 today, Part 3 in October. Kurtwood, it is an absolute pleasure to have you. I know you're a busy man. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
See ya.
And good luck with the rest of your show, Steve.
Right on. Thank you, sir.
We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.
See ya. What a nice guy.
He's always such a gracious interview when you see him interviewed, and we had him on years ago, but not since The Patriot. And you talk about, we've been talked about Patriot because of Father's Day and it being your favorite show, and it's come up and it snuck past a lot of people. I think that show, it's worth a look up. Of course, one of my favorite shows. That's one of our very first conversations you and I had. But in particular, the character that he plays, you mentioned Leslie Claret, is all of his strengths as an actor, from the stern glare to his life unraveling and everything. I just thought it was a brilliant character and a fantastic piece of acting.
Yeah, it's definitely definitely everything he has, his whole bag. There's such a humanity underneath the anger and bluster and pain, and it is one of those special. The show's great, but his character specifically, and as I just referenced, so anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, just take our word for it. It's called Patriot. It's on Amazon, and his character has such a cult following. There's a whole podcast of that character reading his book, which, of course, Kurtwood himself isn't writing these. He's just performing the part of Leslie Claret. But the podcast itself is one of the funniest things you could possibly find. If you're into that, guys, if you're into that character. I mean, it's just one of those weird little cultish things that I stumbled across it. You stumbled across it. Nobody was ever waving a flag saying, check this show out.
Just one of those when you're bored and thought, well, this one, I'll give it one episode. And that's what I would recommend to anyone. Give it an episode. If you don't like it after one episode, then you may not like the entire series. But he mentioned, our guest there, Kurtwood Smith, wish we got that third season. And you being friends with the writer have alluded to what that might have been, which makes me wish it had only been made even more.
I know. I did ask the guy, Steve Conrad, my buddy, who Kurtwood Smith was just talking about. He wrote and directed the show. And I said, what was going to happen in the third season? Yeah. And he said, do you actually want me to tell you? And I was like, actually, no. It'll just rip my guts out too much to know what was going to happen. So he gave me a couple little tidbits that were funny, which again, this just for if you see the show, I'll tell you in person. I'm not going to waste your time with it now, but it was just great. So, but Kurtwood Smith, like, I never wanted to like that 70s show. My default setting in the 90s was sitcoms aren't any good anymore. This is stupid. It's probably silly. And I watched a couple episodes and remember just thinking, like, well, it's got Kurtwood Smith, so what am I complaining about? And he is just so funny as that guy. And it really was a good show. I despite my initial I'm not going to want to watch this. I did end up enjoying it. I haven't seen that 90s show yet, but I'm going to check it out.
That 70s show was when I knew I had turned a corner in my life because my daughter Taylor loved that 70s show. I would watch it with her, and Red was the guy I was relating to. I went, yeah, I get it. I wasn't relating to the kids, although I was the kid smoking pot in the basement. That isn't who I related to. And you're right, Deborah Jo Rupp, the mom in that 70s show. Dottie,
Kitty Foreman.
Kitty Foreman, that's it. Kitty Foreman, that's what it was. I know Dottie, but one of the great, you nailed it, one of the great television couples of all time. I thought their chemistry on screen was as good as any other television sitcom couple.
That's very true. The KQ Talking text line 651-989-ROCK. Earlier in the show, we were talking about the Nextdoor app. John wrote, my mom uses the Nextdoor Neighbor app, and she is definitely one of those nosy lunatics. That's good. I dig it. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it enables that, doesn't it? It takes that nosy neighbor thing and just magnifies it.
Kurtwood Smith, the man who I said reintroduced dumbass. Another text came in. Favorite quote is from RoboCop. Bitches leave. Remember that? It's so funny. That movie was incredible. Speaking of dumbass, there is a man in Albuquerque. He is our favorite dumbass of the moment. His name is Artemio Sanchez Ortega. He's 46 years old, so he's not a kid. He was a little upset with his ex-girlfriend, and he had this great idea. You know what? I'm going to go to her house and I'm going to burn it down. Psycho. I am planning at the age of 46 for the first time ever to commit felonious assault via arson. And he did just that. He brought cans of gas, jumped a fence, put the gas down, and was ready to set her car and then hopefully her house on fire. The funny part of this story, again, this is our dumbass of the moment, a neighbor's Ring camera captured the whole thing.
Yeah.
The house didn't so much catch a fire, but he did. He lit himself up. Yeah. Because when you dump a couple gallons of gas sort of haphazardly all around and it gets on your shoes and then you drop a match, guess what happens? Kaboof. Kablooey. I think we do have a little audio from this story, if memory serves.
The neighbor.
When I first heard the explosions, like the popping tires, I came out, saw the orange light coming through my front window, opened the door, and just saw the tree engulfed. The instant karma of the situation was weirdly satisfying, but to see that he managed to get back to his truck and drive off and, managed to make an escape before anyone really noticed was unfortunate.
Wow.
Love the neighbor. Love the karma of the whole thing. Yeah.
Karma.
You look at the photographs and this guy appears to be engulfed. I know it's a photograph, but he
survived. He didn't kill himself. He probably wishes he had.
Yeah, no, when he got home, I'm sure that didn't feel comfortable. The burns on the feet.
No, it's But by the way, it was they also said it was obvious he'd been drinking. The people that showed up to help him out of his situation there. Here's the thing: if you're already 46 years old, you're too late to become a felonious criminal. Just give it. You needed to do that when you were a kid,
right? Exactly. When you had the energy, the exuberance, you were a dumbass.
Yeah.
Now, you aged past it.
The house was saved, no fire there, but there were 3 vehicles in the driveway. By the end of it, all of which were destroyed. You heard the neighbor say, "I heard the tires popping."
Yeah,
I mean, he did a good job of getting the fire started.
Right.
He just was not in control of said fire.
Well, thankfully, he's the only one that burned.
Ever had a fire get out of hand?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, where you're like, oh, wait, hold on.
My brother and I burned down the barn.
Well, that's right. I'm sorry. Other than burning down the family barn?
We did, and it involved gasoline, and I forget what we were trying to light on fire. Oh, I know what it was. When you pour gasoline on ice and light it up when we were kids, we found out that it just created this amazing kind. What was that album cover? It was like an Ice Cube on fire. I forget. It was an old 70s album. I forget what it was. But anyway, we found out it did that, and it looked kind of cool. It was blue, flame, and kind of a thing, and we did that on a slope. So we poured the gasoline on the ice that was on a slope on the farm, lit it on fire, and realized that the gas was running down towards an old shed that we had, filled with all sorts of old motorcycles, car parts, grease, gas, all of these flammable things, and got a little panicky there for a while. The fire did not get to the shed and start the shed on fire, but it was a couple of young boys, my brother Chris and myself, panicking and freaking out there for a while, thinking we're about to burn down another building on the farm.
Ooh,
we learned our lesson slow.
I just typed up Ice Cube on fire, and I just got a bunch of album covers from rapper Ice Cube.
Probably not what I had in mind.
Yeah.
I was thinking 70s.
Which are cool.
Yeah, all right.
Wait, Elton John had something about ice on fire. He had an album called just Ice on Fire.
Yeah.
The mid 80s were a tough time for old EJ. Oof, boy. Let's see what else I was going to mention. You know what? Speaking of that, just fire getting out of hand. Had a real close call as a kid. This is in the days of flicking matches. You just flick a match at somebody and it would fly across the room and it would still be on fire and hopefully it lands on them and they go, ah, and then it's over. Yeah. And you're flicking matches. And there was a kid in our neighborhood, this is in Severna Park, Maryland, who was flicking matches all the time. He was cool. He's flicking matches. And me and my buddy David Hull were in this guy's garage and he flicked a match at us and we were like, let's get out of here. I don't like this guy flicking matches. It was like a whole thing, flicking matches. And the kid did it again and he hit the lawnmower gas tank, the tip of the nozzle. God. And the whole garage and the house went. I mean, he literally started a house fire. The garage was completely totaled before it was all said and done, and it got into the house. And this kid, it's funny. I can see his face, but I can't think of his name. Not life-threatening, but he got burned and was taken to the hospital. It was a whole big scene.
Jeez, dude.
And then, boy, did everybody talk about that's why you don't flick matches. It was like a lesson learned from Arrested Development.
Every once in a while, Mom is right.
That's why you don't flick the matches.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. Every now and again, it's like that day that Christmas time. I got that BB gun and I finally shot my eye out. Oh wait, that wasn't me. I'm sorry, that was somebody else.
Yeah, but somebody got their eye shot out, and there was that moment. God dang it, Mom was right.
Okay, this just in on the text line. Styx, Equinox, Ice on Fire.
Okay.
Is that the album you were talking about?
It had to be, because I was trying to come up with the 70s band. I was like, it wasn't a huge album, but I bet it was that one.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. And it certainly sounds like a Styx album title, Styx, Equinox on Fire. Yeah, that's it. Looking at it. There you go. Thank you for that. Several people texted that one in.
Oh, yeah. There it is.
Boom. Got that one. Boy, they're still coming in. When I was in school down the hill from our house, got home, found my dad burned all the open fields around our house, all black grass. Very surreal. That's at least it was by intentionally anyway, I imagine is what you're saying.
Yeah, there was one. We had a neighbor that was doing a little field burning, and that got out of hand and burned all the way into our field, burned up one of our balers, baler.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, no one was out there. One of those deals, you just leave the tractor, and I think we just unhooked the baler, left it sit in the field, and that got all burned up. Grass fire out there.
Yeah, controlled burn is more often than not, that's a...
got to control it.
What do they say that is? That's it's like a jumbo shrimp. What do you call that?
Oxymoron.
Thank you. It's an oxy dumbass.
Oxy dumbass.
Control that.
Lorelei was on that Styx album. Okay, I'm over it.
All right, we're over it now. Yeah, fair enough. And all this to say, I'll just mention it again. I'm just so happy to talk to Kurtwood Smith. And I could you tell it took me? It was so hard to wait 6 minutes to mention a different show that he was promoting.
He's been fanboy here for days.
To talk to Leslie Claret. That was great.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Aerosmith come together. They're still on. They say they're touring. They say they're going to finish it. Aerosmith will be here at some point this fall at the XL Energy Center, if memory does serve. We mentioned before the break some fires that we've all experienced. A few get out of control. It's hard to imagine topping the whole Zepp barn going down, but I'm sure people have given it a shot, and I believe on the KQ Talk and Text line, Jack is waiting to share a story. Jack, are you with us?
Yes, I am. How are you doing?
We're great, brother. What have you got for us?
Hey, I went to high school in Afton, Wyoming. We were on the western side in Star Valley. A buddy of mine's dad had just built the new barn. It just stocked up with hay, all ready to go for the season. Comes out in the morning, dumps some gas in the barrel, throws a match in there, and a cat comes flying out of there on fire. Ran into the barn, all over the place in the barn, and burned it to the ground.
Oh, my Lord.
Cat on fire.
Luckily, he had more insurance on it than what he had into it, so it came out pretty good, but kind of sucked for that summer.
The cat was like a Molotov cocktail.
Yeah. I mean, just right. You could have run in 3 other directions, but you ran into the barn.
Yeah, a Molotov cattail. I hate to ask, did the cat make it out alive or no? Doesn't sound like it.
No, it was. We had that small barbecue with the cat, and then we had a big one after we got the new barn built.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Wow.
Brand new barn. Hopefully the hay in the barn and everything was insured.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. He said for more than he had.
Yep.
In it. So that's
because he had a lot of people helping him build it instead of builders building it. So
yeah.
I tell you what, man, that's a memory that's seared into the old brain. The idea of a cat on fire running into a barn and setting it all off. Yeah. You're not going to forget that one anytime soon. Thank you for the call, Jack. That was worth the wait, brother.
You betcha, guys. Have a great day.
What'd you call that? A Molotov cattail?
Molotov cattail. Okay. That was that is brutal. Yeah, there's a lot. I'm sure there are no shortage of oops fire stories out there, and hopefully, of course, they can end tragically.
Yeah,
we're more interested in the ones that aren't so tragic. More maybe like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened.
Great.
I have, there's the average. Like everybody, somebody shows you, hey, take a can of WD-40 and spray it and then put a lighter at the end of the thing, and you do that. And then I was at the Schaus house, the party house, high school where the Schauses lived, and I saw a kid doing that. And at the exact perfect time, someone said, hey, but if the flame starts to move towards the can, because it eventually shoots in there and it can blow. And then he launched it as the can did blow up, but he had let go of it.
Oh yeah,
because he's just holding that flame like a little flamethrower, and all of a sudden it just like the fire's like, I need more of this. I'm going to go into the can.
That's right.
And dude just threw it out to the left. Thankfully, nobody was over there, and it just that made a whoo.
How we did not blow our heads off blowing up Mom's Aquanet cans. First of all, we found out that that whole thing, because there was I was in the KISS Army, and Gene Simmons blew fire, and someone said, hey, if you take your mom's hairspray and a Bic lighter, and we're like, what? We can be Gene Simmons? So we'd hold it up and do our little Gene Simmons thing, and then Mom would be, why am I out of Aquanet? And then we found out we could blow them up in the old burning barrel out there, and we blew up many. And Dad's advice was, well, just stand back a little, boys. I know you want to blow things up, but just stand back a little bit. But,
they don't give enough credit to the ozone layer. When we were kids, it was going away. It was
because of Mom's Aquanet.
A very real concern, and they fixed it. They literally repaired the ozone layer, which is why no one talks about it anymore. Yeah. And they don't give enough credit to the fact that they just stopped selling Aquanet. Big part of the fixing the ozone layer.
Mom went with a perm, and then from there it was the all-natural, Jane look, we used to call it, just the straight brown hair. But, right there in the early 70s, it was all straight. It was held straight up in the the air.
Yeah.
Mom had the beehive going with the. It was at least a can a day.
My high school girlfriend's mom. There are two products she was never very far from: Aquanet and Tab. She had a Tab on ice and a can of Aquanet ready for every moment.
Give me a tube top and some bell bottoms.
Yeah,
and,
man.
Let's disco.
Yeah, she was getting a lot of work done out of that. I was at a giant campfire. We were on tour once on a night off. We were actually up in Winnipeg at a national park, a state park, but it was called a national park. A few days off in the middle of a tour. Oh, you know what? This is kind of interesting. We were opening for Robert Plant, and it was on the 10th anniversary of Bonham's death. He took a couple days off, which we didn't recognize at the time because back then you didn't have Google to Google things like when did John Bonham die. But it was like, as it turned out, he took a couple days right before that. And so we're in the middle of Canada, and we just pulled the bus into a state park. The Robert Plant's crew and band, they were all going to this resort that was deserted because it's late September, which is already getting cold up there. And we're like, yeah, we'll take a couple days off in the woods. Amazing place. Gorgeous. Played golf. They had horseback riding. They had fishing. They had everything. But at night, the first night, we have a giant bonfire. Like the plant guys, our guys, we all bring the buses out into the woods. We got this bonfire going. And at a certain point in the evening, when most of the beer was gone, it was like, what do we got on the buses that'll blow up? And all of a sudden it's it starts with one can of beans, and then there's the gallon can of something. It's just and it's a big ass fire. And so we were just and then all of a sudden there's hey, and then someone brings out the aerosol can and just throws it into the middle of the fire, so you don't know what direction it's coming out. And we're all standing there it's like
Russian roulette.
It was. Everyone's, and it's 30 guys, but we're all someone might die now when this Aquanet can comes blasting out of this campfire. No injuries reported, but some things went very high into the air on fire. It was a good night.
Now I'm remembering, you start talking fires. I'm remembering a buddy of mine in South Minnie had a Christmas tree every year, and he'd throw it in the backyard, and then it would just sit there and rot. And then in the summer, about this time of the year, it'd get really dry, and we'd be back there having a few beers, and we should light that thing on fire. Well, an old Christmas tree in South Minneapolis in a backyard, we set that sucker on fire. The flames going 50 feet in the air. All of a sudden, there's embers. And when I talk about embers, not the little firefly-sized embers, but, the size of your head drifting over into the neighbor's trees. Yeah. The fire department was called, and that cost him about $5,000.
Really?
They charged him for that, Here's Paul Hurley with a text. How the mafia set fire to buildings. They tied a gas-soaked tampon to a rat, set it on fire, and released it in the building. True story.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
That old trick.
It's creative.
Yeah.
You're sending a message to all the rats out there.
Right.
Both literal and figurative rats. Don't cross the Gambinos.
Yikes.
One of the great ways, if you're looking for a long life, it's safe to say one of the best ways you can assure you're going to make it to 100 is just don't light stuff on fire. It just rarely goes well.
Yeah.
You got to plan. There's a few other things apparently we can all do if we want to make it to see 100. A study found 3 habits that can give you about a 20% chance more than if you're not doing them to make it to 100 years old. Now, there's a lot to be said for not being 100, I'm sure. The way I feel in the morning at 58, I'm thinking, hang on, 41 and a half more of this.
How would I feel like at 88
I'm not
or 98?
sure about this, really.
I don't have a plan for 100.
Don't smoke. Okay, sounds obvious. People in the study who have never smoked, 25% more likely to make it to 100 than those who smoked even if you've stopped.
I'm out. I mean, I don't smoke anymore. Cigarettes.
What was the most smoking? Were you a pack a day guy?
No, I was never a pack a day guy. I was the social smoker, so I was a pack a week, I suppose.
Okay,
I mean,
sure.
I could easily do a pack on a Saturday. If it's one of those we're just out partying all day long on a weekend, I could drill a pack a week, but it was usually about a pack a week.
Yeah.
So, but enough over 30 years.
Sure, Tony.
Yeah, I used to love to be a bar smoker.
Okay.
But that was it. Yeah,
That
like
makes
a
sense.
Friday or Saturday night, I'd whale through a bunch of Marlboro Reds.
Right.
But I haven't had one now since 2003.
The last time, I was the same way. Very rarely, but if it was really late and I was really there, I'd be because I hung out with a lot of bar smokers, not smoking normally, but late at night you're all drunk. Someone's like, "Hey man, anyone got some quarters?" And they'd go buy the pack, and then everybody has a couple. And every now and again, I'd be like, "Yeah, all right, let me hit that." The last time I did it, and it's a really long time ago, I kind of forgot what I was doing, and I just pulled on that thing like it was a joint. And I mean,
did you hurl or pass out?
Oh, I was just like, because it really was like, I'm like, oh, no,
Nope.
whoa.
Tobacco.
Oops. Yeah. I had a moment, actually, a lot of times when we would tour in Europe, we you go to a lot of places. In Germany, they would roll joints with tobacco included.
Yeah.
It's just it was the continental way to roll a joint. Put some tobacco in it. And I walked into the dressing room after a gig in Germany one night, and there's a big joint going around, and I thought, well, I'll just take a hit. I don't smoke that much, but right now I'm feeling like that's a good idea. And I took a hit of this joint, and the back of my brain, I felt it like melting. And I set the joint down, I turned, and I walked into the hallway, and I was literally sideways. And my cousin's like, are you okay? And I said, man, I think there's like PCP in that joint. And he went, it's tobacco. I was like, I literally thought, it hit me that hard. I was like, I am not ready for this much tobacco in one moment.
No, the nice thing is when it is the tobacco and not the PCP. Yeah. It is. It goes away a lot quicker, but you just got to sit down for a second.
I had about 10 hot German seconds where I was like, I might die from angel dust.
Tobacco leads to the hard
I'm going to go to the top of the building and jump off if I'm not careful.
All right, so we're 0 for 1.
Okay, don't smoke. Number 2, exercise. Even if you've never done it before, starting at any time helps. If you get regular exercise, you've got a 30%. You're a third more likely to make it to 100.
Yeah. I mean, that's
you got that covered. You're always moving.
It's been a regular part of my life. I can say that, but I always think it's more genetics. So they say the length of your life, however, quality of life. Say you're only going to make it to 80. How do you want those last 10, 15, 20 years to go? So, all right, exercise. I'm 1 for 2.
Eat a diverse diet. That means a lot of fruits, a lot of vegetables,
pizza and hamburgers.
That's exactly both. You want to give yourself a 25%, a fourth more of a chance to make it to 100 if you're just working in a lot of fruits and veggies.
I do, kind of. I mean, my fruits tend to be like a smoothie, and if I read the ingredients, it's filled with just a hell of a lot of sugar.
But here's great news on the heels of this.
Yeah.
Those are the things they say, do those to give yourself better odds. 2 things that don't seem to make much of a difference: body mass index and drinking.
What?
Hold on.
All right. Yeah, that was always a big story.
Go on.
I thought. Yeah.
You got my attention again. Hey, the Eagles are going to be at the Sphere in Las Vegas. How about that?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's
the Eagles.
I said I'm going to hop out there for one of these shows. Is it going to be that one? I don't know. I'd like to know. I kind of want to know like 5 years out what the shows are going to be because I'm going to go out to one.
Well, I imagine whatever you're going to go to, it'll be worth the trip. That place just seems incredible. But the Eagles will be playing 8 shows there this fall, and you might make it yourself if you're listening right now. You can win a trip for 2, of course, with airfare, a stay at the Venetian Resort, Las Vegas, dinner, 2 tickets to the show, plus a VIP experience package. Text the national keyword LIMIT. Text it to the limit. Text LIMIT to 95819 right now to enter for your chance to win.
I like it.
Yeah, that's going to work.
Don't ever do that
be
again.
Better.
What's that?
Try and harmonize with Steve. Yeah. I have what they call a bad ear. I just can't hear. Half my family can just sit down and go, is that a piano? I never, I always wondered what it would be like, and all of a sudden they're like, ding, 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 and then the other half of us,
some jerk playing the entertainer, like you wrote it.
Hate it. And then the other half of us, can't carry a tune, can't play a lick of anything. I remember being in band in junior high, and the teacher saying, Brian, you have what we call a bad ear. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a little hard of hearing in my right ear. He goes, no, that's not what I mean. He goes, it's just a bad ear. You're tone deaf.
I've got the perfect mix to really be annoying, which is I can hear when any note is flat or sharp, especially vocally when someone's off.
I'm going to sit in here and sing every morning.
But I can't correct. I can't sing it right to say no. It needs to be here, but I can't then fix it. So it's like a curse. Like I like people. My buddy Tom Bukovac has a perfect ear. He can hear anything anyone plays and tell you what note was off. In the middle of a 9-minute jam, he'll literally be like, "We were about 90 seconds in, and you hit that B flat, but it was." And the bass player's like, "What?"
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool and it's kind of a curse. But he, on the other hand, will then show you what it should be, either singing it or humming it or playing it on his guitar. And but I think about that, and his ex-wife is an amazing talent, a singer who is also the two of them both have perfect pitch ears, legendarily so in Nashville. And then they have 2 kids, and their kids, and I'm just like, yeah, you're all just cursed walking around. You can't. It's like anything they hear is like chewing aluminum foil. Like, no, that's terrible. Like, and like he says, he goes, man, you want to have a bad night with me? Put on American Idol. He goes like,
oh, funny.
He goes, because the people the worst singers in the world go real far on that show. He goes, yeah, they're belting it out and they got a lot of heart and they mean it, but man, and he just hears music in such a specific, perfect way. I'm like, I'm glad I don't have that going on.
See how that might be a curse. Yeah, well, I wonder if he can snort a piece of spaghetti and pull it out of his mouth. Let's see him try that sometime.
I know, I do know someone else who can do that.
Yeah.
You?
Oh, I can do it.
Yeah, all right, that's
times,
2. I got 2 people that
I have a recording of it, so I don't have to do it anymore. I can just show people the recording.
That it's happened before. Yeah. You know what I can do? I can make my nostrils. I can like snort, and my nose will collapse. Like
it'll stay stuck.
Wow!
It's a visual thing, but
like Michael Jackson there for a second.
I can pull, and I do that, and people are like, you must have done a lot of cocaine. I'm like, no, my nose wouldn't be there if I'd done the amount of cocaine to do that.
I think it's like a muscle like that, is it?
I think so, and I can also I can move my ears. It's very slight. Like you have to really be focused, but I can make my ears wiggle.
Who is the
subtle
Muppet?
wiggle?
Fozzie the Bear. He can do that with his ears.
Yeah, sure.
Let him wiggle.
I'm pretty good at that.
Sure.
We all have something we're better than most people at.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
I suppose.
You know what I'm really not good at is picking the right line at the grocery store.
Oh, yeah. No, or in traffic either. If I get over into another lane, suddenly everyone hits the brakes.
I assume with my height, I have the superior. I can take in 3 lanes of grocery traffic and figure out the quick line. But what I found out I'm better than most people at is I can be at the grocery store and I can find the lane every time where the person in front of me will write a check. In 2024,
still rocking the checks.
I still find the one person with the checkbook at the store.
And they wait for the total before they reach into their purse.
They haven't filled out the check at all. And it's like, you have got to be kidding me.
I have a knack for finding the person that has something to say. First of all, I get my groceries in the middle of the day when all the oldsters are out getting their groceries because I can. That's just our schedule. And it's always just a lovely little chat there right in line. Yeah, just like, and then you should. And I'm like, okay, I'm trying not to be impatient. I have time. I do want to take a nap, but, let's cha-cha it, B. I got a life to lead.
Yeah, no kidding. That's a good topic for another day. What are we better than most people at or worse than most people at? There's a little food for thought there.
Yeah, I'm going to need to think about it and possibly make something up.
Yeah, well, there's always that option. I'm going to make up a whole bunch of crap and call it a history lesson. Not really. Let's do this. Okay, listen. On this day, Mike Tyson stepped into a boxing ring in Atlantic City on this day in 1988 with Michael Spinks, who, to every single human being on the planet watching this fight, when we saw Michael Spinks' face during the pre-bout thing where they stand and look at each other, Michael Spinks could not meet his eye. His body language was me in 4th grade when I had to pee in the middle of class. It was terrifying. Yeah. I've never felt worse for a human being that I have never met. And of course, the fight started, and it was 1 minute 31 seconds of sheer terror before Tyson very, very mercifully knocked him unconscious.
I know, right? There was some speculation after that he might have gone down, and I went, if you think he might have just gone down, you didn't watch it. My buddy, that was pay-per-view. I remember it was about $45 or $50, a lot of money at the time. We were all stoked. We asked him to stop and get some beer on the way. He's like, all right, I'll run over and get some beer on the way. He shows up a couple of minutes late. The fight is over.
If you weren't there when the first bell rang, you were in trouble.
Yeah, and I double-checked here at the commercial break. The fight, the national anthem lasted longer than the fight.
That's fantastic.
I just bull rushed him.
Whew.
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.